teams here have banned out, and what have they picked as we get ready for our matchup here between Red Canids and Team 1. Starting off with our bans is Coastline, Bank, and Chalet removed for Canids, Skyscraper, Consulate, and Cafe out for Team 1, leaving us with Border, Clubhouse, and Oregon. Yet again, do we expect more shenanigans on Oregon?
I mean, Oregon is the one that I would say both these teams are well suited for, so that is the one that's probably going to be a lot more back and forth than what we just saw with Black Dragons and Boot Camp. But either way, obviously, it depends on how they're playing today, you know, how they feel about it, what kind of counter-strategy they go. But I do think that one's going to be pretty close. Border and Clubhouse are a little more of a question mark. I mean, it's hard to say from these two teams, but I do think they kind of banned some of each other's maps a little bit, but not a ton.
Latin America has not been too hot on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
And even in previous seasons. But let's take a look at the picks here just to know how the final setup will be. We'll start off with Border, which is the first time it's going to be played here, which, you know, obviously is guaranteed. Oregon for a second, and of course to close it out on a Clubhouse. Honestly, with the if Red Canids play the way that they played in BR6 a couple days ago on Sunday, I can see this going 2-0 in their favor.
I mean, so the thing is, like, I think there's a higher chance of this going to 3 maps only because the middle map is the one that could go either way that are being good for both teams, which means, like, whoever wins the first one, there's still a good chance that someone else could come out on top on the second one, but momentum does help, for sure. So there is the possibility they just shut it all out, and we don't go to Clubhouse, but Clubhouse will be interesting to see how Latin America plays it, because, you know, we saw a pretty interesting play of it on Monday from North America, where it was just 11 straight attack rounds and then one final defense round.
Yeah, the one final defense round that was won by EG. It was a reinforced wall that they had that looked from Kitchen Hatch into the rotation, basically from Church into Armory, and it was banded it, and that was basically that's what denied all those line of sight picks that I'm seeing a lot of attacking teams relying on when they're pushing Clubhouse. Even though you look at Clubhouse and you're looking at a defense in Church, theoretically you're like, my God, does the defense have an easy job here? But when you're looking
Not anymore.
You're looking at a professional tier play where everybody is communicating. Aim is not the issue. It's just how do you time things, how do you get ready for your push, and how do you scout out your opponents. So once that is in play, it doesn't really matter, even if it's a floor below and, you know, you have so many places to hide behind. You can get easily pushed, especially when line is utilized very well. We've seen lines of sight being held extremely well by Blackbeards even that are being pulled and being played in Memorial, which is not something you would usually see, but a lot more Zofia play. I'm excited to see what the teams have to offer, because there's been a lot more castle play, which, as of course Kickstarter was highlighting. We had this conversation before, as we were actually coming in here on our way to the office. It's like, well, Castle brings obviously very good utility. The UMP with an angle grip can do quite a bit of damage. Of course, you're looking for headshots, and it's extremely controllable. You have your barricades, and you have your impacts, and that's another extremely strong part of the whole setup.
And that's also why we're seeing, a small part of why we're seeing also so much Legion as well, because he's not just bringing the traps and things like that, and a gun that people have gotten really used to, but also the impact grenades as well. And we saw what happens when you take them away from Ella, how much that can impact a particular operator. It's an important thing. It's one of those gadgets.
Then you add one level on top of that, Devin. Not a lot of the teams have been bringing double hard destructors.
Yeah, it's definitely been...
It's like, what do? Do you bring soft destructor, you focus on Zofia, and you have a Habana with her, or you have both hard destructors and you sacrifice a bit and add another soft destructor in there? It's up in the air. Not everybody can fragmite, so it doesn't really... It doesn't really work out for all the teams the same way. That's
I mean, we do see more sledge in Latin America than some other regions. So it is, you know, that is one soft destructor that gets picked a little bit more than what other regions. But Buck doesn't seem to get a lot of play necessarily. I mean, we saw a little bit of it earlier, but it's not a huge operator down here, and that is one that is a little bit more situated better for vertical attacks from above than sledges, just because the floors are a little more tricky sometimes to open with sledge, and you get a bit more delay, although at the moment there are some delay issues with Buck's skeleton key as well. So maybe that evening out just a little bit, both getting frags, but we're seeing IQ sometimes being brought instead for frags.
Oh, yes.
And so that was a thing where, like, they added the frags to IQ a long time ago, and partially to help with that pick rate, and it just didn't matter back then. But now teams are getting a lot more concerned about things like black eyes being used. I think some of it's also due to C4. So, like, for example, we saw a lot of IQ previously on Clubhouse on Monday, and I think part of that is going to be making sure you don't get C4'd from below with those black eyes they're going to see,
and
or
taking control, just removing the pulse from play, because obviously you can detect the opposing pulse when he's using his heartbeat sensor. So
you're kind of Valkyrie and pulse at the same time.
So there you go. IQ is very extremely flexible in how you get to play, because you have the 5.52, which has extremely high DPS.
We still see some people playing the AUG though on
actually
Monday.
Yes, that is very true. Just to get that higher rate of fire that will help you out. It just depends on the way that you'd like to play it. But of course, with your signal detector, and you also have your M67s or frag grenades.
Yeah,
there's quite a bit that can be done. So I'm interested to see, because we looked at our operator picks at the start, and we saw top of the board with the first two, and then it's a mix of everything, especially with Latin America.
Yeah.
You see your top picks, even like the Mira, the Smoke on the defense, and then it depends which map you're playing. It depends what kind of run you're going to play. Are you going to play aggressive? You'll have a Vigil or a Mute as well to play with them.
What's interesting about that, though, is Smoke still one of the top picks, but Latin America plays differently. Latin America, I mean,
much more
I'm generalizing a little bit, but a lot of the players will go for a roaming Smoke, WOG being one, for example, that is a prime example, but it's not the only one. And that is a very different playstyle, because generally the way we think of Smoke is someone that plays sight to delay, and now we're seeing like a little more echoes being used for that. We're seeing sometimes the elements being used for that. It's really varying how people are doing it, but it seems like they're more willing to delay by just killing people than by just trying to throw smoke at the end. And I think some of that is also due to Latin America being a C4 heavy region where they don't necessarily depend so much on smoke, especially, for example, Oregon, which we will see, tends to have a lot more C4s being thrown to defend the laundry than like just depending on, oh, we're going to throw smokes out, which, I mean, is an interesting choice. I mean, the idea is, in some ways, you're going to get more potential for an instant down as opposed to a smoke, which sometimes they can finish planting through if you don't time it right or don't get the range right. You have a situation where they can somehow survive, or they can pull off of it, and it's not lethal then, right? So a smoke you do get 3 of, but it being non-lethal, versus a C4 that you get 1 of, but has a good chance of killing the planter. I could see some reasons for going with a different strategy like that. Also because then you can play your operators differently, or pick operators that have C4 that might do something differently than what you want to do with smoke. But we do also have the shotgun utility of smoke as well.
Yes, and that's something that a lot of teams very wisely don't give up. You'll always see at least one shotgun that's set up. And honestly, when you're running a Mira and a smoke, which is more often than not, as we've seen with the picks, Mira already has her ITA-12, so she can very easily take down any walls. On the side, you see where the Mira windows are being set up. There's always a soft wall on her side, either right or left, depending on which site she's playing on, how the Mira is going to be playing. And all of that obviously plays into not only her being able to chuck a C4, but also a pulse, a castle, you know, anything that if he still has RGO nades, for example, didn't use at least one of them, he can just chuck it in the back, and it can help them out as well with the
back. Like with Zofia on the board, we're actually seeing sometimes more people deciding to not even leave a wall soft. So, for example, on Monday when we saw Clubhouse, we saw EG, for example, reinforcing all 3 and put a mirror right in the middle, and then just eventually pop the mirror and throw a C4 through it, rather than give the opportunity for them to open that wall or to get a good pick on them. So I think people are starting to realize now that Zofia is being picked more, and there's a lot more than just Ashe being used to clear barbed wire. Sometimes with an Ashe and Zofia at the same time, there's a good chance they will just open up that wall on you. It's not completely commonplace yet, but I'm starting to see a little bit of a shift there in the mentality behind it. And then some teams, like if you've got someone like Redeemer on your team, is willing to just shut up the whole wall, battery it, and then have someone play Echo instead. And that's something we'd seen him do on Oregon as well as Clubhouse, to be as someone to effectively deny without having to see directly through the wall. So we are seeing these slight shifts based off of the operators being played on attack, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, and that's how you should be playing it, at least in my mind, on a professional tier, which is basically reading into what your players are comfortable with, but also what your opponents are more likely to do on their attacks and defenses on specific maps, on specific bomb areas, and then you can just plan ahead. Really.
What's surprising though is, despite all that, all those variations on reinforcing stuff, we're still seeing not a lot of Thatcher compared to how much we used to. It's seeming like people are just willing to deal with batteries in other ways, more so, not even with Twitch, just more like, you know, we don't need that wall, or maybe we can just get a kill, or maybe we can get a nade in there. There seems to be a variety of ways to tackle it.
It's been a lot more, if you're seeing a mute or a bandit, they're going to use their barbed wire or their jammers on the specific walls that they really don't want to lose.
Yeah.
And then the rest are basically, you know, anything extra that they can have. But as usual, we do like to hear what you guys have to say, and let's take a look at our community vote between Red Canids and Team 1 to see which, okay, 60% to 40%.
That might be the closest we've seen, or if not, it was one of the ones on Monday, I think, but still pretty close.
Pretty darn close.
Border,
but
though.
Let's start off with map number 1. Of course, it is Border, as you mentioned, Tovin. So, start off on here. 3 out of the 4 bomb sites, we'd say, are viable, though, of course, with Total Chaos versus Vitality, that was proven a bit short in last week's EU broadcast.
Well, speaking of the bomb sites being defendable and stuff like that, this is actually one of the few maps that has been leaning a little more defensive-sided. You know, we've just been talking about, for example, Parker was bringing up how often the attack was winning previously and stuff like that. So we'll see if that stays into this match here, but Border has been one that has worked a little bit better for defenders, partially because the ventilation bomb site you're seeing right now, which is not usually the first pick, as well as the one above it, which you're seeing right there, are both fairly defensible, depending on how you play it, because just there's a lot of good positioning that the defenders can use, a lot of good crossfire angles and ways to play up there, along with a lot of good roam space towards the east side of the building that they're able to utilize to be able to kind of play away and come back, as well as a lot of destructibility of the floor that actually ends up working out in the defender's favor a lot. So, and then these guys, good plays here to kind of fight CCTV that have come up, different ways to counter CCTV if you want to bother, and this mirror window here very far to the left. Should be interesting to see if that pays off. That is going to somewhat be to counter CCTV, also to be able to get angles. If he can open the door at the right time as well, he could go for a quick run out and try and counter them. But it's going to be down to timing for that to work. They are bringing just the Thermite Hard Destructor, so no Hibana, which is a big surprise here. Going to use Thermite right now, but they've got the Thatcher as well to go with that at least.
Yeah, looking at things here, the way that they want to attack does not require them to use too many Hard Destructors. So I kind of agree with this sort of thing, because if you open up too much of Workshop, you end up giving the defenders as well a way to peek into you.
Sure, but the question is, did they know this was going to be the bomb site? This is not traditionally the first bomb site. So it's a good question. Did they read into that? Because if they did, I could totally agree with your logic that maybe you use one for this side and maybe one for the bathroom if you want to go that way if you need it, or one for a hatch upstairs if you absolutely need it. But you're right, it doesn't necessarily need Hibana on this site. Can be useful if you want to fight angles from the bathroom, but yeah, they are already pushed up very close. So if you're already at the doorway, and Midi trying to push up as well with Thermite, they're just collapsing on the site very quickly, ignoring the top floor. My preferred way to attack this, I think this is the way that probably statistically, if you bring up the stats, maybe Splut could help with that, would show that this is the better way to attack in terms of outcomes being in your favor.
And that's why you see Jerry up top trying to counter any rotations that come in. That's 1 kill for 1, as Mega will go down here, losing the Zofia after she used her charges.
So that was for the pulse, worth it.
Losing the pulse is a big loss here, but of course GDN has taken quite a bit of damage, as well as the castle here. Iblax on Team 1. The Red Canids so far have not been able to penetrate the defenses, as they have opened up a bit of walls here. Still probably have a second Thermite charge to play with, and these are the angles that you're looking for if you're Team 1, because Ion just has clear line of sight, but he can't get the hit. It's 1-to-1 trade here, as Blacks will get one, Io get the other, but the mirror is going to get dropped. But Ion from above will get 1 kill of his own. It's the Bandit and the Smoke, low on HP. Io will chuck a first grenade upstairs, but he's got to watch the rotation here into the desk. Fortunately, nobody's pushing through it just yet, but they have clear line of sight on the diffuser. Ion still set up. He's got the Smoke, as you see Hugsworth has started to throw things in. Jerry's still peeking. Oh, he spots him. He spots him. He sprays right into him. And the yellow, the banana setup here just does not work.
He's trying to make up for the lack of glass.
Unfortunately, Ion will be last man alive, but there's so little time left on the clock.
Why is he
you can just put around the site, but no, the user is going to get dropped.
Oh no.
Well, at least take down one. He spots the second take. Can't take him down. Io will get the line of sight. Nicely done here by the Sledge to clean things up, and Red Canids, you know, even though you're not expecting Workshop to be your first attacking site, it still works out fine for them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they attacked it the smarter way. They did get delayed quite a bit as soon as they lost the Zofia, who was meant to be the spearhead of that. They didn't really have a good follow-up to that. But nonetheless, they definitely got enough people off the site. And the reason I prefer attacking that way, and I think it's the better attack way, is because of the limited rotations down. I've said this before. You see it again. They try and fight those angles from upstairs, but what you have to realize is if you're a defender upstairs, you're trying to defend a very large room through very tiny holes. And then if you need to go down there, most of the time, you're going to have to drop hatch. Rotating stairs is too dangerous because you're funneled into the doorways they can already watch. What surprised me, though, is Bandit dropping there. You can see in the outline of the other attacker looking straight up at the ceiling, still waiting to fight Bandit, not hearing that he dropped down. Surprises me there because he could have easily heard it and been pre-firing it. Nonetheless, though, it was more than enough time for the diffuser to get planted, and that's really all that needed to happen for him to be able to get off and trade it.
And the interesting part is, since we're playing in Latin America, we're seeing a lot more Twitch. And here we'll see a lot more aggression that's being set up, at least operator-wise, for Team 1. They bring in Twitch, they're bringing a Lion as well. That'll combo very well with the aggressive plays that we'll see on Hugzord, who's playing the Ying. And that's something that really...
I mean, you've got 2 operators with LMGs, or maybe even 3 if they're playing Lion. And then the FAMAS. It's like Thermite's the odd man out there without a super high, either high magazine or high rate of fire gun. So it is definitely a lot of fragging power, as you said.
Maybe one day we'll see an LMG Zofia actually be viable, but today is unfortunately not.
Probably not.
Probably not. There you go. IO is set up. Of course, all Bandit batteries have been set up. Midi will try to scout things out with his heartbeat sensor. He's not really found anyone just yet. You see in the primary corridor here, the setup from the smoke, the Mira, very standard. Just using the shotgun, trying to set things up.
Opening up a lot of holes in the floor, trusting that Pulse is going to be there to stay downstairs and watch those. If they lose the Pulse, those could backfire on them easily because those are positions they're also going to be sitting, like behind the bomb, which is where often more people are trying to fight when they lose small office and are fighting that wall right into lockers. So you got to be careful with stuff like that when you set that up. I mean, obviously the one by above the B window, or the window that usually leads into the bottom event area, is one that's not going to be used against you, but some of those will, and you've really got to be careful that you have a good person playing downstairs because a smart team will eliminate them quickly, and then you lose control of a lot of your site from below. I mean, they're not playing Buck or anything like that, so it's less of an issue, but still. Panico hoping to catch any roamers off guard here. Interesting, trying to peek that from above, but not going to get any freebies today, meaning they've burned off a minute and a half, but they're starting to get bitmap control. They have East Stairwell now, at the very least. Usually this gets taken a little bit earlier, but I think they were overly concerned about CCTV, which doesn't look like they're necessarily trying to fight.
They're just reinforcing the wall leading into the main hallway from CCTV, so it makes things a lot more difficult for the attackers to deal with. Also, they have not been able to take down the 2 defenders that are staying downstairs, and now they're like, okay,
hunting them.
They've been hunting for so long that they have not done anything when it comes to the checklist, and they really cannot because they need to rely on that Twitch drone to do the work.
And they didn't bring a Thatcher.
Yep.
And Twitch being downstairs is going to backfire on them. You're right.
At least they take it down from below. That was Panico that was able to snipe down the Bandit batteries from below. Jury just falling back behind his mirror window. Jason peeking into Fountain, trying to find somebody. And what is that? Here we go. That's 1 kill coming in. What a trade from the Bandit, though. Will get taken down immediately by Hugzord on the Ying, putting things in a 4v3 versus, for Team 1 here versus Red Canids. The Pulse is still alive, and they still have, of course, both C4s to play with, but damage has been done to Jerry, and they know where he's at. Sure, he's behind a Habana, a reinforced wall with a Bandit battery, but that's the C4 we're looking for. But no, Blacksmith from below comes into the workshop and gets the kill. Smoke will get thrown in as Jared gets 1, but there's 10 seconds on the clock. 2 kills coming in very quickly here. Panico will trade 1, and Panico will take down the second, as you always have been seeing now. The Lion just rotating at the last second before they push on the set and just holding that angle. The LMG can just keep firing, and the 308 rounds will take down anyone in their sight.
I feel like we've seen a lot of rounds where Lion kind of comes in late, but strong. You know, he's doing a lot of support role at the beginning. You don't want him to die too early because he's going to be supporting the other entry fraggers. He's going to be supporting getting the plant down and things like that. But when you see him coming late like that, if he's got good positioning and they're focused on the other attackers that they're taking down at that moment, we've seen a lot of good positioning like that and where he's able to take advantage of fighting those different angles. It did seem like they got a little bit scattered there once they started losing a lot of control of lockers and then forced to be running into the room. Losing that pulse obviously cost them as well.
I think the whole problem, which is something we've seen time and time again for Latin America especially, you're relying a lot on one person doing his entire thing flawlessly from start to finish. And more often than not, with the speed and aggression that we've been seeing from attackers, that it's not going to happen. It's going to happen once. It's going to look really, really good as a highlight, but it's not going to win you the game.
No. It's I mean, especially when it comes to like roamers and stuff like that, I think a two-man team is kind of mandatory if you want to make sure that you trade at the very least, because it's very rare that you see the roamer live the whole round. So you almost can guarantee that he's very likely to die unless the round goes really well for you. So having someone there to trade it, I mean, perhaps Pulse did have someone there to trade it and then lost them due to the Twitch, but at the same time, Pulse wasn't there to trade it then. So either way, they need to be relying on each other, and Pulse is kind of overly focused on what he's doing, and they're continuing to run with that idea. Panico now on Pulse this time. This is not like a new idea running Pulse downstairs, but you really need to make sure that you're getting the most mileage out of him, because when it comes down to it, Pulse is mostly useful late game in terms of like, or late round, in terms of countering the actual plant. So if he's too busy or dead before then, not super useful. And if you're going to be even keeping him alive, just be prepared to try and trade him for someone hunting him.
Even some close-up angles being opened up here by the Mira. GDN is trying to gain a bit more control over Workshop and over the server room below. That's the setup that they're using to protect their Pulse's flanks. But then again, you have to watch multiple angles. Hopefully, the Jaeger is looking down and trying to support his Pulse here.
Now, interestingly, the Red is bringing the same attacker lineup they did the first round, and we still don't know if they were expecting that downstairs or not, because
maybe it's just that's how they want to play it.
Well, Team 1 switched without having to. So Team 1 switched upstairs, but they didn't have to switch upstairs. So the question is, was Red thinking they would just try it again? It's hard to say, but I mean, that lineup can really work somewhat for either side.
Yeah,
but it's interesting that they stuck with it.
Even here, when you're pushing into the office, into Armory, this setup works very well, and you can push from A or B.
Yeah. It's still riskier to do it sometimes with Thermite than it is with the bottom.
Oh no, they'll spot him out, and that is really bad here. He goes, he takes a
job though.
Yeah, quite a bit of damage, and even spraying through the wall, but Panico exactly on 50% HP here as Mitty has done the damage, but it's not clear just yet. At least, yeah, there we go. At least he forces the Pulse back up, and same for Blacks here as the fire comes in from the Zofia, and that gives Red Canids even more information. But again, they lost their first player, so they can't afford to have a very aggressive Lion looking around for him.
Yeah, they're spending a lot of time with Lion looking for Panico, and that's really burning up a lot of his usefulness in a way, because he's got 3 flashes, for example, that are not going to be used here, and his 2 Lion things. And if he gets caught out by Pulse, who's going to see him coming in theory first, because Pulse has got the OG wall hacks. So Jason's, though, nice kill.
Blacks will refrag here with a spray from Mitty as he knows that there's one player in the back, and that'll be our resident Jaeger. They've not been able to get a quick shot on him. Flashes will get thrown in as Jared with the Arrow 33 will get 1 kill. 2 of the flashes will get thrown in as you see the Thermite running in for a diffuser plant, a spray as well. They know exactly where he's at, but I think he's just moving around behind that wall just to confuse the attackers, and Mitty will go down. He has already used his E1Ds, and what a headshot here coming in from Jared, taking down Blacks, and leaves Jason looking down. Of course, their Lion, their teammate, is down on the ground. 2 versus 2. It's definitely not impossible to go through with this bush. GDN will make short work of one of them. That's already on the ground. That was a Lion eliminated, but Jerry cannot catch Lion as he's running around, and that'll be up to the Thermite. Jason's will land the headshot. Clean up the round here. Red Canids going up.
Interesting that trying to finish off Mitty actually kind of baited him a little bit, because when they went to finish him off from the angle, they weren't watching the other angle, and he got caught off guard. So that was that actually worked in their favor. Yeah,
don't get greedy.
Well, the thing is though, like it's always a trade-off, because if you leave him alive, he can call out information. Even if he can't see them, he can hear. And that's a situation where it's like, well, we do want to kill him because he's providing a lot of information that he wouldn't be able to do otherwise, although, you know, he could be helping out on drones or whatever, like from his dead spectator point of view, but nonetheless, he could also do that while laying there, so that is not an advantage. But you do need to time that better. Either way, though, he could have necessarily anticipated that that would be the exact moment that he gets peeked from the other side. I mean, either way, like they are going to be going upstairs here yet again. Red in the advantage right now with 1 point up. See if they can keep that lead. Looks like we're going to see, again, a lack of a Habana. Thermite, this is very Habana-less for Border, surprisingly. I'm not sure if this is indicative of a newer meta shift in terms of the way these guys want to play it, or if it's just this particular map.
It's just a different way of doing things. I mean, even with other regions we haven't been seeing really the Twitch, but we've been seeing substitutions depending on the setup you want to go with. Bandit and Mute have become a lot more of a threat for any attacking.
Which is why it's surprising to see like less Thatcher. Like that's the situation where you'd expect, and not to mention Legion being in the play as well, because chances are there's going to be some Legion mines near your entry points.
And again,
that's where you're going to Thatcher.
A point that Michael was picking up as well is that LAT5 is an extremely predictable weapon to use.
It's a very good weapon. I mean, they're bringing Sledge, so it's not like they're uncomfortable with the weapon.
Yeah, but Sledge has the SMG-11.
That's true, as a backup for entry, for being inside, yeah. I mean, some people do also like the AR-33, for example, as a weapon to be able to bring inside and outside, and not necessarily be as long a range weapon as the LAT5, but
still fairly controllable, that's for sure.
Yeah, either way, they are getting underway here at least. It seems like they're clearing a little bit faster than we'd seen in previous rounds, but nonetheless, it's still taking quite a while to get this going, and Thermite's still trying to decide where he wants to approach from here, having to rotate around. They are clearing out CCTV, though, and making sure that they're not going to get any runouts on it, so that they can safely start to bring that Twitch drone around, do some droning first, and then potentially clear out the batteries on that locker wall. Well, there's some good coverage here for Panico, hoping someone will peek out. And that's always what you want as an attacker, right? Is a greedy defender to make the wrong move or rotate at the wrong time. Because any picks during the first minute and a half are a huge advantage for you as an attacker, because you need that momentum as it starts ticking down.
Well, Ibex just moving around here on the Twitch, just waiting around to get information. Not sure if he lost his drone. That would be pretty bad,
yeah,
to say the least.
Kind of needs that for the Bandit batteries. I mean, that being said, though, Ion can do a plenty of good enough job from below with the Zofia grenades as well to be able to clear out those batteries. So it's certainly not mandatory.
Oh, no. There we go. No, he's going in. He opens things up, and I believe he found one mirror window.
Yeah, it looks like that was popped. So that will be a nice advantage for the attackers, who are already doing well.
Yeah, that will ease the push a bit. You see a close-up angle being held by Red Canids, either in CCTV or in the office itself. Panico just spraying in, trying to find somebody on the rotation, or trying to push in. There you go. That's the one we're looking for.
Oh, Black steals it, though.
And Black's already gets it. As you mentioned, he spots the Legion, and you know, Legion will go to sleep just for a bit. Just until the end of this round, at least. There's 3 left on Red Canids. 40 seconds on the clock. You still have the smoke trying to peek through into Fountain. Midi will fall back, and Black is just nailing the headshots here. This is just pure scalping. Yeah. Midi is now spotted as well, right outside of Fountain. He'll get taken down by Unknown Blacks. We'll get one more. That is a 4K for Team 1's Blacks on the Twitch. And you know what? The F2 is pretty good. Who would have thought, right?
It's a little useful when it comes to making people, as you say, sleep. So
permanently.
He made 4 people sleep quite well that round, and that was why they took the point. But it is tied up now. So we're seeing both teams playing fairly strong on this, despite the bomb site, like regardless which bomb site it is, both teams being able to play back and forth. Seems a bit attacker heavy though, which is unfortunate given that this, as I said, this map had been leaning a little more defensive favored, but it doesn't seem to be working out all that well necessarily. But we are going into round number 5, and this is where we might see things change up a little bit as teams have kind of gotten to feel each other out a little bit. This is where you usually start to see that shift if there's going to be one, and then start to shift towards a match point. However, we're going to be upstairs yet again, no one trying anything too crazy. I would like to see some of these teams try a customs defense, though. I think there's still some potential in that.
Obviously, the crazy part is bringing the vigil here. So. Yeah. Panico probably setting up a CCTV, or maybe downstairs to catch any rotations along these stairs. Definitely possible.
And it's like, if you play them downstairs, if you play it smart, you can definitely make it so that they can't really tell which floor you're on, but you've got to think about where you're presenting yourself as being on both floors so that it's somewhere that you're actually likely to be. Luckily, this map being pretty much symmetrical among the floors, it's not going to have a lot of areas where you're on one floor and there's not something above it or below it. As some other maps like Oregon definitely have areas like that. So it's a little bit easier potentially on a map like this to trick people with that. And you can even stand on top of stuff to really make it extra confusing.
This is, of course, a lot more of a compact defensive setup, as usually you'll see a mirror window being set up on Fountain with reinforced walls all around. Here, not the case. They decide to conserve as many of the wall reinforcements just to set them up in and around the inner site. Of course, this time Red Canids are bringing the Ash and not the Zofia, which is definitely not something we've been seeing a lot of the times.
It might just be they want a little bit more speed and aggression than they can get with a 2-speed, 2 armor, but either way, they're going to have to capitalize on that and make sure that they can get open what they need to get open. At least they have a Thatcher to be able to help with that. Again, no Hibana, though, and I feel like a situation where you've got just an Ashe and not a Sophia, you're going to be better off with a Hibana because there's a good chance that you can open up and do a bit more with it. But we'll see. Nonetheless, Mega has already taken a little bit of damage, actually. They're still needing to try and find this Vigil as well. First, looked like that might have been a little bit of hitting him with his EMP. Not sure if that was intentional or not. Well, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but if that really messed up what he's trying to do. But Midi with the first kill off the board, that's Jaeger gone.
Yeah, well, nicely done. The Jaeger, you say, has been removed. We're trying to bandit trick in the back just to help out, stall things as long as possible. Panico still set up, watching the window, but the Thermite will find him and take him out of his misery.
Not invisible to guns.
Yeah, not invisible to guns, that's for sure. Sometimes you do get a bit overconfident when you're playing the Vigil, but...
mindset thing. Oh, that's the window opened.
That's just a spray from below. We'll get kill in the window, of course. Now they force him out of position, so now they have to play so close up. And Mega can just spray in because nobody's protecting the window anymore after the loss of the Vigil. GDN might be forced to go from below, but there's already one waiting for him, and he'll fall right into the hands of Midi. And we've been seeing so many times the Lion just standing below and opening fire on anybody that pushes him. But Lion will get one. He'll get the second, but he can't get the third. It's the Ash from Mega that runs in, nails the final headshot there.
Well, Pick and Ash seemed to work out that round for them. Mega got at least 2 kills from that.
Speed and aggression. That's
although playing it on the window, not necessarily common, but not absolutely uncommon either. But it was kind of funny that the first one was really due to the Lion catching out exactly where he was positioned and just finding a different angle on him. But unfortunately, we're not seeing a shift over towards defensive side just yet. So if this again goes with the tit for tat clubhouse style, might just see this go to 3-3 and maybe all the way to overtime. But they are going to go downstairs, I believe, if I'm understanding the Portuguese correctly.
Sala de Ventilação and Oficina, which is vents and offices downstairs.
AKA workshop. So we'll see if they can successfully attack this here. They're going to be bringing a nice aggressive lineup yet again, the same one they brought before that we were talking about, a very frag-heavy lineup in terms of attackers. So we're seeing good play here from Blacks, partially due to that 4K that one round, but Jason's and Jerry doing a pretty good job on their team. Jason's I was pretty impressed with during the BR6 on Sunday. Had some really good plays. Seen some good ones here as well. Ion also doing a great job backing up Blacks. So those kind of being the standout players. Hugzord actually not really showing up too much here in terms of high visibility for his contributions, as he's got 1 kill, and we haven't really seen a lot of him doing much. I'm sure he's doing just fine on the support. I don't want to call him out for saying he's doing bad, but I just hope to see some more from him as the game is far from over. I
love this setup on the Valkyrie, by the way. That's a very difficult angle to nail if you're trying to hit it from spawn, especially if the Valkyrie is getting aggressive. She can peek you, get a kill on you, and this is a lot of information that gets fed, but you see with the left side being so closed up, the attackers have to open themselves to fire if they would like to take it out, but won't be the case here. Team 1 setting up on the opposite side, coming in from the south side.
But now they know that if those the AC unit gets occupied is the big thing. If someone tries to push from there, but obviously with a push where you don't have to attack the upstairs the same way, you might not need to. So if this was an upstairs bomb site, that would I think be more useful. They are still definitely looking to open that, at least open up that wall. The Twitch drone, they're going to be able to get Midi's batteries probably fairly easily if it hasn't already.
Be interesting to see maybe a mute being played at some point. That would be...
Yeah, they're not really trying to deny too much. I mean, obviously, with the amount Twitch is being played, a mute jammer positioned well by that door could make it pretty hard for you to get in with that, as that drone cannot jump.
But then again, we've been seeing the teams just pushing from below. Now, then again, since you're defending Workshop, you don't really have to worry about your equipment being, you know, zapped away from below. So, you know, there's way of seeing things the, you know, one side or the other. But regardless, the wall has been opened up. Now you see Hugzord trying to set up alongside the Zofia. Ion here has been doing pretty darn well. They'll smoke right into the mirror window and set up with the first Candela to push in. Panico gets one and the second as well. Smoke is going to get popped, but Blacks already gets the frag. They eliminate everybody up top, and now even one below. That's Hugzord. One more for him here on the Ying, and Jaren is the last man alive. He'll get shot down. Flawless from Team 1. They didn't even need to crack the site.
No, they were just raining death from above and doing exactly what they needed to. A very aggressive Ying attack there, working out despite the smoke trying to stall them out. Did not do that at all. He just ran and started killing, along with the support from the line, who was doing a good job as well.
Who would win, a highly advanced chemical weapon or Shift W?
Yeah,
Shift W in this.
If Shift W is backed up by bullets, that tends to be very helpful to have. So we're seeing a similar attack lineup here again from Red. We'll see if it works yet again, as we are again seeing a lot of attack wins here. This is where hopefully Team 1 can change up, because if they can,
this is what I like.
Match point.
This is what I like. The castle pick, because they realize that Canids have been going for a lot more of the Ash play instead of having a Zofia. However, we'll go down and pick the sledge, so that'll be
still a little riskier to use a sledge though. But until you can throw that hammer Thor style, then maybe it'll be different.
Yeah, maybe on TTS next week.
Yeah, we'll see. With the wild cards yet to come. But either way, it is going to be a situation where the castle being downstairs is not an uncommon thing at all. It's a fairly common strat, maybe not as much in Latin America, hard to say, as I don't recall specifically, but it is definitely a popular one. But as you said, it is going to kind of slow them down a little bit in what is already sometimes a slow attack, because you spend so much time on the upstairs that by the time you get downstairs, getting slowed down by any castle barricades is definitely a detriment to your attack. And then if Panico can do a good job on this vigil and burn up a ton of time upstairs, all those things combine to make it very difficult on the attack to time it.
A quick point for me is that I personally prefer running the vigil with an angled grip instead of...
You're big on those angled grips, I've noticed.
Well, especially on vigil, because you're relying on ADS very, very fast and killing your opponents immediately. So you have to have something that'll give you the edge, or sometimes compensate for, you know, lack of information that you have, which is...
Just use the boss G.
Don't listen to Devin by that.
that is not pro advice. Although we have seen Necrox pull off nice boss G kill once. Either way, they are starting to make their approach, but it is a slow one. Ion getting antsy already, waiting for that attack to come, as he knows he's going to have to defend his batteries, potentially with his life, but Lion already coming out in the first minute here as they start to rush in, and that's going to catch Castle, who nearly takes a couple through the wall.
Oh no, the Ash Mega running in, almost getting the shot in his own teammate here. Panico unable to get the shot, but he still has one impact nade as he uses it to spray through, and he falls back. So much damage done to the Thermite. He almost got the frag there.
Scared the pants off Jason's, who is now outside licking his wounds. Unfortunate for Thermite. Second Lion popping already.
Oh, the Ash yet again. Mega is just destroying opponents on the Ash, and it looks like, you know what, you can have as many castle barricades as you would like. This is not going to stop the pain train for coming here from Red Canids. Yeah, sure, you take down a lot of damage on 2 players.
They have enough time to even reset them at this point, just because they've done so much damage already in terms of taking down 2 defenders.
But this is Latin America, friend.
Yeah, that's right.
No resets allowed.
There's no time to heal. But that's the 3rd Lion already, and still a minute left. That is very early.
Oh, another rush here from the Ash.
Mega.
As Mega is still alive, and he's still causing chaos. Ion here trying to push in, but Midi will take one. He'll get traded off by Ion, but Mega is ready to add one more kill to his stats here, just to pad more, and no, Jared will get the kill with the AR-33. He's getting the angle from the top side. The Ash was already ready from below. They know what's happening. They heard the beepers, so they know where to look in, and they just caught the last player, the smoke, off guard. And it's yet again the attackers going strong, 4-3.
That was it was very aggressive in the Lion use, but they were able to get off defenders pretty quickly. So I think it kind of paid off in terms. I mean, some of that was due to Mega's just aggressive plays. I mean, the castle getting caught off guard, for example, and trying to flank around in a way that was fairly predictable, I suppose, and good read from Mega and catching him doing that, and then getting the Bandit off the board as well. They had a fairly aggressive strat, and it did work to pop 3 that early, but if, say, it didn't work, they would have been in a situation where they would have lost a little bit of advantage in trying to get that plant down. But nonetheless, it is a situation now, this is the deciding moment. If Team 1 can continue the attack strat, we'll see overtime. If Red can finally change things up and win this defensive round, they take the map and we move forward. So this is all up to Red to change things up here if they don't want to continue to play this map for 3 more rounds.
And statistically, we have seen the attackers doing things correctly, especially in this matchup. So we won't put it past both of our teams here to take it into overtime, and then it might just be the luck of the draw.
Yeah, they're just going to have to be very smart in terms of one of the things they're going to have to deal with that's the biggest problem here is the line combined with the Ying. Because it's a situation where they're able to be very aggressive and be able to get people out of their positions very quickly, and they're able to take a lot more map control because they can Ying it. Even if there's no one in there, it's a situation where they can clear out a room much more aggressively, much faster in terms of the top floor. And since they're trying to get the top floor clear before they attack the bottom floor, that's really going to pay off in terms of time, having the time advantage to be able to attack from above, to be able to get good positions, to make sure no one can rotate on them, things like that. And we'll see if they commit more people to top or down. So far, it looks like, I think, 3 defenders upstairs, 2 down, which is generally the convention and usually works out in the defender's favor. But if the attackers can make the most of that, then they can end up with a very weak site defense, which you see them trying to defend right now. They've got at least the Mira down there. I imagine.
Not sure why they ran in the drone there at the end.
That was a little suicide drone, yeah.
All right.
Just wanted to harass Mira, I guess.
Panico will set up the Claymore downstairs on the Lion, as Ian has line of sight into Armory and clean up anybody in there. Also has GDN droning in, trying to find
half
anybody.
wall.
So far, so calm.
Yeah, they're not pushing as aggressively as I was talking about. Which is, I mean, you don't want to lose a lot of attackers on this top floor attack, like people generally used to. I would say not as much with the current attacker lineups though, especially with Lion on the board. It's a little easier to clear without losing people.
Well, Hugzor will at least peek down from the hatch. Not going to find anybody, as with a minute 20 on the clock, you see some fire being laid in, and this might be the repeat of before. Now you don't even have to push through that smoke. Candelas will get sprayed in, and no idea what is going on here. It's 2 kills going in for Team 1. Red Canids not really realizing where this push is coming in, as Blacks gets 1 more, padding the stats here. Blacks with the second one and a headshot to take down the smoke. And just like that, in 10 seconds, everybody's down except for Jerry. And he has to reload, but they know where he's at, and we'll see the rush coming in as the window will get popped. They already know literally where he is. He'll spray down, he'll get 1 kill here, at least drop 1, but from above, it'll be Zofia here, Ion, that'll get the kill. Bring it home for Team 1 to tie it up 4-4. And we said it's not out of the ordinary, at least for this this kind of play, to see this go into overtime. So
overtime, here we go. So the question is, whoever gets attacked first, which is in this case Team 1, if things continue, automatically win this. Just based off of they're going to win this round, lose the next one, and win the third one. And that's what we were talking about with Clubhouse previously with that Evil Geniuses versus Space Station game on Monday. And Evil Geniuses were at this disadvantage. They were the situation where they started on the wrong side in terms of defense and somehow turned it around in the very, very last round. So will we see something similar here? Will we see one of these guys turn it around? Will Red Canids somehow be able to take it home despite a huge disadvantage here? iBlacks definitely wants Team 1 to win though, that's for sure. Bring it with 11, and then his 2 teammates with 7 each. So far in terms of kills, looking a little bit stronger than Red, although Red doing pretty good with 6, 6, and 5 on their team as well, and a 3-3. So everyone kind of killing each other quite a bit, but it is definitely looking like Team 1 in slight favor in that sense.
And we had this as many times as we can, but there's one game that shows that kills are not the be-all, end-all in Rainbow Six Siege.
They are a little bit more when it comes to attack wins, though, because you can't win on time with attack.
However, keep in mind that if you did not watch Vitality versus Digital Chaos, last week's matchup, highly recommend that you do, because that is a strong showing of one team getting kills, well, especially Bibu in that game, but like getting a ton of kills, and still not able to win because of mistimed plays.
Yeah, because of really, really late pushes from Vitality, unfortunately, which are, unfortunately, they're kind of modus operandi at the moment.
Well, Hugzord is scouting on CCTV. Ion will check through the hallway. He spots the mirror window at the other end, looking in from CCTV. Even reinforced the sides here.
Soft wall? Oh, yep, they're definitely playing it soft.
It's a soft wall on both, so they decided
risky with a Zofia and a Ying to come in on that.
But the mirror will open things up anyways.
All right, well, we'll see if that works out. But
and there's 2 mirror windows. None of them is set up in the desk area.
No Jaeger ADSs though. Those Candelas have free reign along with Zofia concussion grenades. It's just open season to blast in there though.
And there's no bandit. There's no mute. This is a very odd setup from Red Canids, but
they're gonna have to play it smart.
Maybe this is what they've been looking for. Of course, this does play into Hugzord's hand.
Yeah,
when he's playing around with the Ying.
Oh man. I mean, obviously Black's has a little less to do with his Twitch drone, but he's been doing more than enough with his FAMAS. So
the FAMAS is definitely a big part of this. That's for sure.
Are they attacking offices with this huge advantage they have right now? Because that seems like an odd choice when they have a lot of advantage potentially on attacking the other side. But maybe that reinforced wall and CCTV and the angle that they have to play it is just not favorable to what they want to do.
Because then you have to clear CCTV. You have to control the hallway anyways, so it's not really something that they would like to go through. Ion just trying to find a angle. He close and spot the peek, but what is that from Io? Comes in, nails the headshot, takes one out. This is Zofia out of play before they're setting up. And finally, we see the defenders actually in the upper hand here with 55 seconds on the clock.
Maybe this is just different defense really threw them off. I mean, like you said, maybe this is the change that they needed because they can't seem to attack it the same way they were previously.
Now, have they thought about cleaning up Pulse below? That's been something that the Lion has usually been up to. So, roaming.
Well, as you say that, there we go. Legion making up for his previous slightly missed goo mine. They're all the standstill, the moment of silence, but you hear one go off, so it is being effective. Credit to IO for that.
Thermite charge will get set up from GDN, but we're at 20 seconds left on the clock, and the push has got to happen here. The Ying might just be setting up to throw in her Candelas as Ilex will peeking through. He's got a long line of sight to look through into CCTV, but here we go, 3 kills in a row. The Mira doing the work. Now chucking in the extra C4, but won't be able to hit it here as the Lion is spotted. He jumps into 2 of the mines, and there's still 2 right in front of him. As he will not have the time, and you know what? The fence will do it. That's the first round being picked up on defense, and not a moment too soon. It'll be in the hands of Red Canids. They're up 5-4, and now they're on the attack.
Well, I credit to Red and confused by Team 1 in terms of you've been successfully attacking. I mean, yes, you were attacking it sometimes for the downstairs, but you've been successfully attacking the locker side time and time again. They open up a wall for you. Don't even bring a Jaeger. They were like, come on in without the welcome mats. And they still, maybe they just thought it was too baity, I don't know, but they just went around to the other side, completely rotated, burned up way too much time, tried to actually attack with 20 seconds left. Yes, you've got a Ying for that, but you lost Zofia to be able to concussion into the room and help, like, not just blind them, but also disorient them. But it was so ineffective, and they just lost everyone. C4s as well definitely did not help.
Double spray with a vector, all that.
Yeah, it was.
Goo mines were set up correctly, even though we saw one of them hitting the side of the metal detector.
Still, he has like 8. I mean, he's so effective. Either way, kudos to Red for pulling off what had so far seemed impossible. And now they are clearly in the driver's seat as they can continue their streak of winning on attack. And they will be easily taking this map if that occurs. So Team 1 needs to find that same stride. They need to have their same defensive win if we want to see the final round not be this one. And either way, we're going to be going over to Oregon soon, though.
You see also Team 1 picking up the dock, so probably the ACOG.
Yeah, I mean, depends on where you position him. Didn't we just see that last round as well for Red? So it's interesting.
It's basically the same setup without having the Jaeger.
Yeah, but in this case they have the Jaeger.
Legion in the previous round.
I mean, really, the other team needed Jaeger more than Team 1 does because of the Ying, but in this case, I mean, no one's bringing Habana to even clear those. So it's a situation where they'd have to waste throwables. No Zofia as well.
This is a rotation that I like.
Yeah, there we go.
Because
that worked before.
you can't really get peeked because you go up onto the roof, and then you rotate down by using the ledge. But C4 will get thrown.
What was that?
And it won't hit Mega. Just a bit of a waste there from Panico. The drone will just drop right into his hands.
Should have C4'd the drone. Would have been more effective.
This might actually force the smoke to use his first canister. Now that might be the real kicker.
Yeah, good burn with with a minute 50 left. That's a good start if you can get him to burn those smokes early, just because of one ash in the window.
No, Hugzord is taking his time to realize, okay, I don't need to do this prematurely. I can sit back, you know, think about something else, think about math or something.
Do some paperwork in the office.
Just delay things as long as possible. No need to utilize that equipment just yet. But here we go, kill number 1, AR-33, and that's to eliminate the Doc on the ACOG.
No more healsies.
No more healsies. As if, actually, I don't even think that Doc has been doing too much healing. I'd love to see the stats. I can't wait until we have more stats here to work around with. But GDN will get the kill on Mega. I'll trade it up.
Mega's been a big part of these attacks working too.
They'll make it 1-to-1. You see the E1D to get played here. 1 kill from the Jaeger, but a refrag by the Sledge, who's just running around the SMG-11. Speaking of which, the smoke is still hiding behind B here in the archives, and has, of course, Panico 2 playing with setup of the Thermite. Will open up the side of the wall as they try to rush into the armory, and this will force smoke out of position. But you know what? He opens up the floorboard and makes things a bit easier for the Valkyrie to rotate through the hatch. Hugzord sets up right behind.
Oh, this could be the flank that they need to make this work. Panico can pull it off.
Jiryang heading up very close. 22 seconds on the clock, and the rush needs to come in. Again, they are relying on what usually are your support players, but they will get that diffuser down. Very quick push coming in to get it down, and they can still use the destroyed mirror window to their advantage. Smoke will get thrown in as GDN gets the kill here. The headshot from Hugzord somehow brings it home, and GDN gets one more. It's team 1 that tied up 5-5. Since when does anybody rely on pure aim to win those duels at range versus ACOGs? Versus ACOGs on L85, AR-33, and a 5.56. Like, what is going on in this match? This is the craziness of Latin America.
It just feels like both the teams have really kind of like, I mean, they kept winning those attack rounds over and over, and then all of a sudden they're just getting thrown slight curveballs, and then just not winning anything at that point in terms of their gunfights. I mean, to be fair, though, the attackers got the diffuser down, which the defenders shouldn't have let them do in that position because they had smokes, they had C4. They had the mirror window set up, on the wall instead of the small office, though, so they weren't able to contest that plant spot as aggressively because smoke hadn't rotated over to the half wall yet because it wasn't safe to do so without getting picked through. And he knew once the plant was down, they weren't going to be immediately up and watching it just yet, so he was able to rotate at that point and get the smokes, which was a great smoke pinch as well, by the way. The way he threw the smoke on the other side of the where the wall had been blown open, pinched into a position where Miro was able to get that kill from the Vector because he was stuck between a rock and a hard place. Either he had to peek the door or he had to run.
How do you get 2 kills, headshots against ACOGs with a Vector and a home? Like, how? That just should not happen. That is clearly a mistake.
The Vector is a beast, though.
100%.
And that wasn't super long range. So, I mean, we'll see. But it's either way, it's a big question mark now who win this because we've seen both teams able to win defense. We've seen both teams able to win a heck of a lot of offense. And this is on the bomb spot we've seen many times. No real surprises in that sense here. So who wins? I favor team 1 on this just because they have, again, that aggressive lineup. The Yings have been very effective on that. But we saw last time them just flub this defense. Now, Red is not going with that same weird defense that we saw last time that actually helped them win. So it's kind of weird. So they choose a really strange defensive strategy. They win the round, and they say, that was good. Let's go back to kind of what we were doing before now, which wasn't working. So we'll see. I mean, they are bringing the castle this time for what I believe is upstairs.
But then again,
sorry, they're downstairs. Okay, that's why.
Then again, sure, it's a castle, but you have Zofia, and this time we'll have a Habana.
Yeah. Always the confusing part about this this map is the 2 bomb sites, when viewed from above outside, look like they're, it could be either one. It looks like the top or the bottom because of the vertical is almost the same positioning.
It's pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. But either way, they are...
We do have a twisted sense of humor here at the office.
So, a lot of just surveillance going on from both the defenders and the attackers. Oh, 2 ADSs down as soon as he can recharge that shot.
Let's go. Get sniped.
That is unfortunate, as Jaeger now rendered partially useless. And that is going to open the way for them to do what they had been doing, which is blaze right on in with a combination of Ion Zofia and Hugzord on that Ying. Just storm the castle, kill whoever's in there, which I got to imagine Bandit of Midi's got to be ready for by now. In time again, that's going to clear out whatever ADS was left there, as if iBlacks didn't communicate that there was already one down. First smoke baited out as well, which the smokes have not been helping as well, but at least he shifted it this time. Didn't do it near the doorway, did it on the whole side. That was smarter. I'm glad to see he adjusted a little bit. Didn't it did stall out the push, though. They didn't push it in the same time, but they also didn't go with their Candels yet.
Oh, here we go. E1D will get popped.
Oh,
And no, that
see
is...
that.
Unfortunate. The Twitch drone should have already cleared all of this,
Yeah,
honestly, but Twitch is busy, of course, with downstairs with the combattant, and that Panico will have used his first E1D to try and open things up. They do smoke out the rear window setup in the desk area. Hugzord will just rush in. There are murder holes that have been set up, but they won't be able to use them just yet.
This is a big, big change, because previously when they've been able to do these pushes, they've been able to get 2 kills on that attack. Now they've got 0 and 35 seconds left. I'm actually favoring red on this because just the lack of
Oh, no, you lose.
That, though.
You lose the Lion. Iron, though, gets a bit of damage done to him. And a spray as well with the FAMAS. This is what we're looking at. Blax has been doing so much damage, but now it turns it to a 3v3. But Zofia is down. She can pull herself back up. That is that Polish resilience. See the spray in with the Vector, turning it into
just missed
3v2, but one will get taken down, and he cannot do it. Red Canids will win out the first game, the first map here that we're playing on. And honestly, aside from that was a beautiful double flick.
Yeah.
That's why you go for an angle grip on the UMP, because it takes so long to ADS between the two.
Do you run a vertical grip on anything?
No, well, no, especially in operators where I know that I'll need. I would definitely wouldn't run a long barrel, but that's just me. I think it's heresy.
I guess you just got to learn how to pre-fire more.
That's risk coming from Devin, that's for sure.
Yeah, no.
But 6-5, Blacks, of course, being a big highlight of the game. 12 kills in total.
Yeah.
And his Twitch plays were extremely impressive.
I was actually really surprised he didn't get that last kill and help win it for his team. He just barely missed it. I mean, unfortunately for him, the way it lined up, he couldn't see the Mira crouched down. And then as soon as Mira stood up, he just couldn't land the shot fast enough.
Yeah. And what I don't understand is how we went through all of the attack rounds. All regulation time, our 8 rounds, all went to the side of the attackers.
And then all overtime, 3 defensive rounds.
What? How?
Well, they obviously figured everything out from experience.
Like, that's the thing. They didn't even change much.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, maybe somebody was out of position. And especially in that last round, you know, you were mentioning, oh, usually when attackers are peeking in from Armory, they'll find a couple kills before they push in. They didn't find anything.
Well, they just stalled, and then ran off site while they had smoked it. So it was like they couldn't see through their own smoke to know that they'd cleared it. That worked out for Defender's favor. Either way, that was pretty close at the end, and that's probably the best way to have an overtime for a round, where it takes it all the way to 6-5 and a very close 6-5, where it absolutely could have gone either way and is a total shakeup from what we saw the previous 8 rounds.
That is pretty much what we've seen from EG versus Space Station. If you missed North America, I highly recommend that you rewatch pretty much all the matches that we have if you have not had the time to do so yet. And did end up in the 6-5. Sure, it was a different map.
Spoiler
alert.
We already did, though.
Yeah, but hey, you got to keep up. So 6-5, of course,
Oregon
here,
time.
going the way of Red Canids. And now it is Oregon. So it was too close on our first map.
Yeah.
How do things go when we go to Oregon?
It was already that attacker-sided on that particular map. The one that has trended more defensive-sided this season than many of the other maps. Now we're going over to Oregon, which has probably been, I would say, only second to Coastline in being attacker-sided in general, except for that clubhouse match that we saw. This really favors a team that can win at least one defensive round and really storm those attacker rounds like usual. So whoever starts on attack and can win their first defensive round is going to be a huge advantage on this particular map.
All right, well, let's get right into it. As Oregon, as just said Devin, will be our second map in this best-of-3 series. Possibly, you might see a third one.
Possibly. I mean, obviously, the first map going 6-5 definitely shows that these guys are at least evenly matched. Unfortunately, evenly matched on the wrong sides, I think it looks like. So
we'll have a rehost, so we'll be back in a couple minutes for that. but I'm excited to see what is prepared for Oregon, because
Yeah.
Latin America has played an excessive amount of Oregon.
Yeah.
Like
Excessive. There's no excessive Oregon.
amount.
It's never too much Oregon.
I think you
I'm
and I
going to
could
move to
disagree
Oregon
on.
just because I like the map.
Actually, never been to the U.S., so I don't know what to expect. So
You've seen it.
soon, Pro League Finals. The U.S. will be very interesting, that's
Yeah.
for sure. But so Oregon, will we see another quick rush with a finger?
I don't think that's likely. I think that was kind of a one-off in terms of that particular
We
setup.
say one off, but
No, I mean in terms of that particular rush. However, yeah, I mean there is a good chance we could see at least one rush strat. What's funny to me about it is the rush strats that we used to see in earlier seasons were tower rushes. They would rush from tower where people were less prepared because they were focused on defending laundry, and come in from behind and just storm that side and take it. We're just not seeing that anymore. In fact, we're seeing very little of tower pushes in general. And I mean, we are still seeing some, but we used to see a lot of it. And it surprises me in a way because it actually can be very strong in the current meta, because you can open up that wall and do glass very effectively still from that the wall that's kind of in the electrical area sort of thing right there, where you can just take a line of sight right into B and get a lot of angles in there, and far enough back where a C4 is less likely to be able to catch you off guard without them quickly peeking it. Yeah, and then Lion's going to help control your flanks from tower, not to mention you could even have people watching the flank because you should have people with you. It seems like a pretty strong attack for what we've got, especially if you throw in Candela's ability to just, because you could chuck one in on the side that you're on, chuck one over the bomb onto the other side where Mira's going to be playing as well, and be able to push in with glass covering you, or like Blitz that we've often seen as well.
no, never.
So yeah, it just seems like it should be a little more effective than what we're seeing with people trying to drop hatches or trying to push from the stairs still, which is a very slow push sometimes. Either way, though, this is a constantly shifting thing, and this is only week 3, and we've seen already things change a lot between the different weeks. As we're seeing different teams playing, different
People adjusting to the meta game, of course, with new operators, with new combos that you can put everything together with. We've seen a lot less reliance on hard destructors. There's been a shakeup, that's for sure. But enough of that. I know we like to go on and on and on and on, but back into game we go, and it's of course
Dokkaebi.
Oregon, and with Dokkaebi, yeah.
Well, we'll see if that pays off. Combined with a Ying, that could be pretty good in terms of a Ying and a Lion. That could be pretty effective at making them blind, unable to answer their phone hardly, and standing still, which is not a good place to be.
Seems like me waking up at a set on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, no, it takes a while to hit the snooze button on your phone in this game, unfortunately. So
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm sure most modern phones have, a side button that it's just your...
If it's hacked, it's a little bit different.
You are the programmer
this is tactical
between us.
realism phone answering, okay?
You are the programmer between us, so you 100% know all about this, hacker man business. Much more than we do.
No comment.
No comment.
All right, speaking of hacking here, they've got a jammer, and that's going to help not only with Lion, but a lot of people forget too as well, that also stops the Dokkaebi calls from coming in. So someone playing on those is actually going to be immune to 2 different attackers here. Obviously, that's not going to work for the Candelas, though.
It limits the drones. That is an extremely powerful
It
part
also is
of
going to impact Hibana as well.
Yeah, so you can't push people out of kitchen too easily without dedicating multiple people, or even having to burn an E1D, and even then, it might just not do anything because there's a mute jammer there. So
now they're droning from both sides here, so the question is which side are they going to attack from, because they've got Hibana droning one side from the lobby side, down the stairs, and then it looked like Dokkaebi potentially was droning from the other side, from the tower side, but it looks like they're going for a lobby take for the moment, but they see a lot of setup upstairs, and then Panico's going to have to help clear that out.
That's something that Latin America have been very proactive with. Burning a lot of time by using that third floor.
They love guarding kids on basement attacks. And, if it works, stick with it. But those kids are safe for a while, the way things are looking so far with that classic smoke upstairs, like we were just talking about earlier, what WAG would do, for example, too. It's that same idea. He'd play upstairs.
With the smoke,
yeah, and sometimes we'd even see him use it to open up some floors from the bunks area for some angles down into the school.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
There's
exactly.
some interesting ways to play it, so I definitely think Latin America has some interesting ideas on that.
Yeah, the top left angle here by the Hibana basically can can be shot down with a shotgun. You can have a direct line of sight into anybody pushing through the lobby. Here they'll spot the mute downstairs as GDN just rushes on in. C4 will get thrown and they'll deny the diffuser plant. No, 2 kills coming in for attackers here of Team 1. They only lost one of them here, but they will lose out the Mira. This fire will rain from above from our resident sledge, but the smoke will work and at least take one person out of their misery. And Jason's just setting up here, taking down the drone that's set all the way in the back of the hallway. Midi getting close to that grenade, almost perfectly cooked. These will push him back for a bit more. There's a few more seconds to be played with, and they're trying to find the headshot angle into the back of the school. That's 1 C4. He's trying to get the second kill. As there's 2 more players left alive. Goes in with a shotgun, takes one down, and only leaves one alive. Jason is down on the floor. He tries to contest versus Panico, but Panico is ready for him, and Midi will go down. Nicely done by Team 1. That was too close for comfort, but only one bullet could have cleaned up the round. That's usually the case when we're in very close wrap-ups.
Yeah, that was definitely could have gone either way, but it was a good comeback from the last 2 SAS defenders to be able to actually almost take that round back, because it was a situation where, yeah, the defuse plant failed because of the good C4, which, as I was talking about earlier, C4s are something we will see plenty from this particular region downstairs, but they followed that up with so many kills. It was like, you're not going to let us plant? Well, we'll just kill you all, and that'll work just as well. And they traded it around very quickly, down to just 2 people left, and then had a Lion left as well to really slow down the ability to try and get that the diffuser. But I like that, oh, I can't move, that's fine. I will throw a C4 upstairs through the hatch and get you without moving. So.
And that is a very common C4 spot. If you're playing on school.
Which a lot of people will for defense of that particular plant.
And that's the thing, if you can't catch them rotating through the hallway or from the side room, then 100% expect the C4. And that's why you see mute being run a lot more often, because it allows you to play around with an extra bit of C4. And as you highlighted at the start, Evan, this is a region that loves to use their C4 charges.
And now we're seeing a couple operators we hadn't seen last map as well. We're going to see an Echo out from Team 1 and a Blitz. Something we did see in the previous match, of course, but not in this match just yet. Not a huge surprise here. We'll see if AO is going to be very effective on that. Surprise did not put Mega on more of a fragging role, just what we've seen last particular map with Ash.
Oh, yeah.
He was very effective on a 3-speed fragging role. I mean, I still expect him to be, no, I still expect him to be effective, but it just seems like on this map in particular, where you need to be a little bit aggressive to clear it out effectively, especially Meeting Hall, it could work out for him. But they are going to do a good job making sure to clear out roamers this time with a Jackal as well. Another operator that I forgot to mention is one we hadn't seen previously. And the nice thing is, upstairs here, if you're in that early, you can be sure that there's no one upstairs if you see no footprints, right?
You're not wasting time like what the defenders usually would like you to be doing. Jason will set up his Kairos pellets.
I like the Jackal's using his shotgun very effectively as well to set up a lot of angles to play from up here to actually help guard his attack downstairs from the 3rd floor.
He might not be a buck, but he definitely adds quite a bit to an attacking team that likes to combo things with a Lion. I mean, we've seen the Dokkaebi Lion plus Jackal lineup. That is definitely a roamer's worst nightmare.
Speaking of roamer's worst nightmare, Echo playing Meeting Hall was already risky. Now the Lion's actually making it hard for him to rotate back to site, because in Echo playing Meeting Hall depends on you being able to hold Meeting Hall, and they're hoping Panico can stop it, and Panico's already getting lit up through the holes that he had made potentially.
Oh, even still, he gets tagged one more time through the floor, and somehow, some way,
he's
Panico's
not
alive.
Gonna do well here, and that is why the Echo's now forced out, so he's gonna have to go back to site. They didn't really burn very much time because there's still a minute 20 left, and that's cleared out now. He's just gonna have to hope they could stick tower here between the 2 of them. If Mega drone them out, they're gonna have a
Oh, here we go, the quick rush. C4 for 1, and that's a second will get dropped. No, they won't. The Echo will get 1 kill, but the Jackal's rushing in. He's stepping all over his opponents here. Sherry has to drop down, get 1 kill, but no, it's 2 in a row. As unfortunately, the Jackal just actually walked over his opponents without being able to get the kills on them as they sat down behind the desk in the laundry area.
Yeah, unfortunately that attack felt like once Blitz died, that attack just really fell apart. They were all scattered, trying to fight it too many different ways.
And that's not how you play with a blitz. You need to have everything timed so the blitz can come in, distract your opponents, whilst at the same time you are moving forward and just keeping your opponents.
You make it a two-front battle.
Yep.
Absolutely, and that's what they were trying to do, but the rest of the team just wasn't on that same page. They were still, I think, a little bit distracted by the two up in tower. You had Mute on Panico and the Echo as well, just hanging out in tower. And that made it so they were able to go down to site and help out as soon as that blitz was dead and start trading it around, and late Jackal wasn't going to do anything. I liked their initial clear and setup, but their inability to kill Mute and Echo, I think, is what cost them that round, along with the missed timing from Blitz, which was, again, partially due to not clearing those two out tower.
It took them a while to take control, to take down the Echo there at the end.
And they took Meeting Hall control fairly fast as well, because they pushed them out quickly. They pushed both of them out quickly, but not turning those into kills and just letting them hang out in tower. That's, especially when you've got Panico, like, you know, a quick breath away from death. But we are going to see a little more time burning here now that Midi is on Vigil, and a lot of times you see Vigils kind of play around this Meeting Hall area. He can actually be nice and effective in terms of hanging out in this attic if he can remain not seen, because they're going to think he's in Meeting Hall, which is a common place for Vigil to be playing. But he's got to play this smart. He is actually preparing a little bit of these windows here. That might be for sound as well, so he can hear some repels if they start coming up those windows. Yep. He's going to hear a little bit more in advance because of those windows being opened.
It is a lot more of a dynamic sound. It really brings us back. I spent last night, you know, rewatching a lot of the olden games from Pro League with Parker. Actually, went to
back when they used spears and rocks.
And back in the days, the lighting system, the audio system, the destruction, you know, the caliber-based destruction, everything was so different.
Yeah.
And now you actually have to think a lot more tactically than before.
As Kix was saying earlier about angles, definitely that could be the case. But already a minute almost burned here, and they're still just now getting Garage. Definitely slow going for the attackers here, as they have not taken control of a whole lot. Usually West should be taking a lot faster here when you're trying to attack the top floor, which they are doing. So they're going to have to start to get some things moving, especially clearing out that Vigil, as he's going to be a big problem.
This is, of course, a good spot here from Blacks that can take down anybody trying to rotate from the Meeting Hall. But obviously it makes sense to not push this position at all if you're a defender, because you can just rotate up into the hatch and drop back into a better position there. You see Panico getting information on the Jaeger
Good
Mega.
Droding. That is going to force him off of that particular spot. They are playing more of a bathrooms defense, but he doesn't look like he has a mirror window set up on the other side.
They are relying a lot more on C4s being used up at the end. Of course, they are trying to get a kill or two out of it. Mega will come in, take down the Claymore.
This is important. Having Mega being able to take control of that tower is going to make it much harder to take Dorms, because that tower is oftentimes very fatal for attackers, to, like, regardless of where you're actually attacking from.
And it's the Jaeger, not the Vigil, so the Vigil can stick around in Meeting and disrupt things even more. You see Mega peeking away. Not going to find anybody just yet, and with 50 seconds on the clock, you have to wonder, what are Team 1 planning to do here?
Planning to lose this round so far.
Exactly, and so far, Red Canids are very happy forcing Team 1 to wait.
This has been a very extremely effective defense in terms of buying time. The smokes, he's going to have 3 smokes to counter this as well, but iBlack's getting the first kill onto that Vigil, finally taking him off the board. He's going to make it so they can get Meeting Hall controlled now, but Jerry gets down in the meantime, and then one more goes.
There we go, 2 kills, but even a team kill. It's not a day in Pro League without a team kill. That's what I've been seeing. IO trying to contest the outside of the lobby here. They'll get spotted running up, but that diffuser should get planted. No, it will not. No. We'll get the kill. Just trying to take down one of them. Blacks rotating in from behind. IO getting one, and now all they have to do is focus on the last one. That'll be in the hands of the SMG-11 as IO gets or will get taken down, as Ion will get the kill.
Well, I take back what I said after a quick rush there at the end, playing Vitality style. How that went in the hands of attackers, even with a team kill on the attacker side,
I don't understand.
It's surprising. It was definitely a case where they just got a lot of crossfire on them. I mean, it all started with Vigil downstairs getting killed first, and that gave them a little more freedom to be able to rotate after that. I mean, that isn't the key or anything like where it just completely changed everything, but that was a nice start to it rolling, and they just started spraying on all the defenders that were kind of bunched up in that one area. That is the downside. So, like, I was saying, you know, they were able to survive, they were able to buy time and rotate back. The thing is, they mostly all rotated back, and the only one really off-site was the Vigil. So it was a case where I think the attackers actually really took advantage of the fact that they were all bunched up upstairs to make for a lot of kills in a row. And that's 3 rounds in a row for Team 1, a team that lost last map. It's looking very likely to see Clubhouse the way things are going for Team 1.
Yep, we did not rule it out.
Nope. Like I said, it's much more likely because this is, oddly enough, this is the one that I said was most likely to be the back and forth map, and it's last map was apparently that one with the 6-5.
What do we know?
Yeah, it's, I don't know. These guys are nutty.
No, what are you doing? No!
Oh.
How does this keep happening?
Was he mad at him for killing last round? He's like, you know what?
Oh my god.
You know, didn't we just see this like 2 days ago?
Yes, I can still hear kicks in the back of my mind yelling at the team kill that happened in NAPL.
Well, it's Red's round finally to turn it around. I mean, that didn't help them last round, what am I saying? I like these angles. I've seen these before from some of these teams using angles down, like kind of underneath the bed from either side of that. Well, at least iBlack's getting a nice early kill on a blitz. That helps.
Oh, all right.
Seconds. All right.
He's like, you know what? We'll handicap ourselves. We're already up 3 rounds. We'll get the blitz first. What is going on?
That's fair. Yeah. First 30 seconds, there's 2 people dead already. So that's good.
That's Latin America.
There you go. A little bit of Latin style. So now hopefully they should be able to get more map control. You know, now that people are dead. Hopefully, I will see. I mean, they are starting to push in at least. They've got some good sledge push in here. Taking control of Meeting Hall fast is definitely going to help, as opposed to last round where they struggled with that for quite a while. Also taking control of Kitsch as well. Now they're just trying to take tower, and this is look like where it's going to have an engagement in just a second here. Oh, the Lion's definitely going to help with this, and he looks away just at the wrong time. He could have pushed that and had an easy potential kill, as he was not going to be able to move due to the Lion. Just a bad read by Midi, and now he's lost a quarter of his life.
How did the drone not spot things out? They were too busy trying to scout out the kitchen instead of actually checking the back of the Meeting Hall. GDN still set up top, trying to find a close-up angle on his opponents. Look at that, just trying to find somebody right again from below. Hugzer definitely is using that extremely soft mirror window to look through into white stairs.
About as soft as it gets. It's almost ready to fall off the wall at that point.
Go. E1D will get popped as well, and Canids won't be able to find anything off of it just yet. And you see Blacks is still all the way down in the laundry, making sure that everything is cleaned up and ready, which reminds me.
They want to fight with clean clothes.
Yeah, it actually reminds me I need to put my laundry back in place when I go back home. But there we go. It's always consistent. You're living
the strats you learn from
you're living the game. There you go. That's exactly it.
Right, this is
still up top here. Exactly.
A lot of angles being worked here from the defenders. They're actually, like, I like the Valkyries playing very flexibly. Like, iBlack's is just moving around wherever he needs to, but he's not catching anyone off guard. And I feel like there's so many missed opportunities due to timing.
He's opening the mirror windows himself. Now, obviously, the second one makes a lot of sense because it's already a super soft wall.
Well, he's working a crossfire then for people trying to push the other mirror window that's the soft one. So, I mean, we'll see if that works out. It could backfire at him but they're not pressuring super hard from this window. As I say that, Jason's is going to, though.
Now, little time left on the clock as you see the setup very close from at least the 2 players that just went down here. Mega will get traded off, and Jarrett will get taken down as well, thanks to the Valkyrie. The MPX taking 1 down in GDM with the C4, turning it only in the hands of Mitty, who will go in for the diffuser plant. But quick rush from the Jaeger cleans it up, and you know what? How does this keep happening?
2 rounds in a row where Team 1 kills one of their team members and still wins.
And here in a prep phase.
Is that BM at that point where you're just like, we can win these 4v5? Unfortunate for Red, who just, this is not their map seemingly at all this time.
I'll channel my inner Portuguese. Definitely, meu Deus. Because, my God, that should not be happening if you're Red Canids. If you're Red Canids and you see that in the kill feed, you're like, all right, we have the advantage, and then you lose.
Yeah,
that definitely that's a feels bad man kind of moment.
Well, looking like Reds are going to be, fingers crossed they have a good clubhouse, because it looks like we're 1 round away from that already, as we have not really seen Red get as many rounds even close as we would like, given the fact that there's been a couple 4v5 situations. I mean, yes, the first team kill was late in the round during the big old firefight, whereas the second one was literally during prep phase. So we'll see They've, I mean, they've got a fairly standard operator lineup here to be able to defend this. They're getting a lot, but the deployable shield in that doorway is one that's interesting, to be able to fight from the actual dining room to help guard the kitchen. If they can stay there. We've seen a lot of people end up getting pushed off of that fairly quickly because, you know, there'll be an Ashe or a Zofia that takes out the deployable shield, but there's nothing of that like on Team 1, so the deployable shield could actually work out. It's just kind of an oddball strategy.
Now we'll see how things work out. As again, just got confirmation on the stats. 18% play rate for Clubhouse for Latin America in Pro League. So it's not really a map you see too much of.
Yeah.
Especially compared
They're all
to
waiting
Oregon.
for the revamp.
I can't
I think
wait
we
for
all
it.
are.
Yes, at this point, very much so. Like to see a big change in the strategies around operators, but also with the maps, with the current changes that are happening with, maps being taken away every season. So, yeah,
At least this map hasn't been all attacker-sided like you would have expected, but maybe that's just due to the fact that Red are not having successful attacks, really, because Team 1 seems to have no problem with them.
Well, see the Habana running all the way up top, as Iron will jump on in. They do not have a thermite to go through this reinforced wall, as Ion channeling his inner streamer, trying to find a quick headshot for some highlights.
It's absolutely worth it if you might think someone might be playing behind that. They're definitely concerned about that. I would hope they would have droned to see whether or not there's a rotate hole there before doing something like that, because if there's not, then not necessarily a lot of point in pre-firing it necessarily. And there is not, so lines coming out though. They are getting ready for the push, potentially at least to start the push on this. They do have Ying to be able to start pressuring very heavily with the Candelas combined with Lion, and the Thatcher's going to clear out a lot first so that they can make sure. But Mega on the small tower here, this is again something that works very well if you can play it off just right, but they're not pressuring that window. Yeah,
they're seemingly Team 1 doesn't even want to care about the main window.
Well, then they don't have to worry about small tower, so I guess that works out.
Panico, the only person that might get pushed, but you know what? With his position being so far off, we're really going to be thinking about him staying around on that northern side. No, 40 seconds left on the clock, and even talking about Lion, making the meta a lot quicker with the attacks. It's been outside of the first week, it's been going back to normal, and even getting a bit slower. Though they will find Jerry. They know where he is at, but there we go. The stations to get one kill, and Midi will get the second one, and that'll be the line and the Habana taken out. But the Fuser will get planted, and that is really all you need. And he just sprays it and lands the headshot, turning it into a 2 versus 5. Leon impossible, but Midi will make it happen. Hugsor taking only one down. He's trying to find the second angle here, as you see a quick peek from the Valkyrie headshot. In for Midi, but the Russian from IO will clean things up. A nice try there from Hugsor on the Ying. But Red Canids were at least try to keep in the game here, as Mega, you see him taking down the Fuser at the end there, 4-1 total.
Now, Team 1 had so much in their advantage there. They were ready for a master bedroom push. They had one player, Mega, all the way in small tower, not able to do anything, and having to rotate back late up white stairs potentially. And they had Candelas to throw into the room to be able to blind everyone to start to go for that plant. Not to mention, they forced Mira out of that position. So Mira had to fight from the other side and still use the soft wall against them. Did miss the initial shots, but it was just, they didn't seem to be able to play into their own chaos that they created by throwing those Candelas in. And we've seen that a couple times now, where once the Candelas go off, everyone starts dying. And unfortunately, a lot of times it's been the attackers, which they're at the advantage. Maybe it's just the close quarters not working out for them. Either way, we're going to see another try at AO on the Blitz. We'll see if he can time things a little bit better this time and try and bring Red back.
Nugget C4'd immediately, so we'll see if Team 1 was able to win the round with 4 players versus the 5. What can they do when all 5 players are alive?
And we're going to see the Echo again from Ion, along with a nice view here. So Red, who have yet to win an attack round, need to win this one, otherwise it's on to map 3. So they've got to be thinking, what can we do to Team 1 to take advantage of all the weaknesses that we've seen from them so far, because we've seen them play quite a few defensive rounds.
Now, they definitely do need to bring this back 4-4 to take it into overtime to snatch the victory, 2-0 total against Team 1. But so far, it is definitely in the hands of Team One.
So in this case, they need to be able to take care of that mute and that echo, because that was the big thorn in their side along with the missed timing from the blitz last time. So if they can make that adjustment, if they can clear meeting and actually take down echo preferably, that would be a huge win here in terms of this attack, because otherwise they have to deal with smoke and an echo, not to mention taking longer to really secure meeting hall.
Oh, Mitty will just drop in here with the Ying. Jason's just to spot things up. The drone, Jerry as well, making sure the kitchen is clear, and you know they spot one out. They're going to be using IO here to clean anybody set up inside, and you see the close angle rotation hole is opened as well by the mirror window, so IO won't have a prey to jump on just yet.
He's certainly looking for it, but
Cole, no, he'll get dropped. Blacks will peek in.
The read.
Unfortunately, nobody watching meeting from an angle that you wouldn't really be watching most of the time anyways.
They probably should have pressured the tower at the same side, or at the same time. I mean, now they have Mega looking like he's going to attack from the tower side and then backs off. So losing that blitz early, yet again, AO just not being as effective as Julio. Although I don't think we saw as good a blitz play from Julio today, so maybe can't credit him too much either. But they are looking to make something happen here and try and catch someone. There we go, the echo.
Oh no.
Fighting back heavy though.
Mute will get the kill and he'll take down one. That's Panico taking pretty much no damage, but a straight headshot.
Finally.
From the Habana, finally taking away the echo. Though a lot of damage done to Jason's, and that's the problem. Now, unless you can get perfect Ying play, it's not going to be a good day.
They've lost the Lion as well, so even if you get plant down, it's harder to keep it.
And that's the thing. You need to have things go flawlessly here for the attack to make things work. And Blacks will make it a lot more difficult. Comes in, takes one, and the C4 gets thrown onto the second. Medi will come in and land at least one kill for himself. 3v1. The SMG-11 of Hugzord will finally clean things up. Round 6 goes the way of Team 1. And they tie it up here. Total maps 1-1. And you know what? We will see a final map, and that will be Clubhouse with a 5-1 total for Team 1. This is getting a bit too close for comfort.
Well, I knew Oregon was Team 1's map more so than Red's, in a way, but I didn't expect it to be that lopsided. I mean, we saw the scoreline. I mean, the frags don't even necessarily highlight that as well, but iBlacks, again, doing a lot of work for his team. He's definitely, I'd say, one of the standout players.
Oh, yeah. Twitch, Bandit plays on point. When you have somebody that is just having a great day and he's able to do his fragging duty correctly, then you know what?
Yeah.
That's exactly what you would like to have on your team.
Between him and Astro, keeping Twitch alive in Latin America, for sure.
Ah, Twitch.
Shocking. Well,
it is actually
Clubhouse
very shocking.
Probably won't see as much of that, though. But it is definitely going to be interesting to see if we see, for example, are they going to bring out Glass?
Are they actually going to use Buck for once? Like,
you know, I would have to say overall, the entire strategy of opening up kitchen floor has all but died off.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of teams phasing out using Buck and substituting him with Jackal.
I think what we've seen more often than anything else is just using angles from the hatch for Habana. Like, they're just like, you know what? All we've really got to do is open the hatch because all those other angles just aren't working. I mean, we see them trying to do stuff like IQ to try and get people through the floor.
We've been
like that, but
we saw that as well on Monday with North America Pro League.
A lot of that on Monday.
Not only that, but also a 200 IQ play where you literally have the Habana peeking from the hatch, but also the IQ sitting on top of the counters on the other side and trying to get an opposite angle to the Habana. So if Habana can't get the kill, well, the IQ can still snipe and get that shot.
It's just people being able to sit in the back of Armory far safer than they should, but nonetheless, it doesn't turn into a win most of the time, sadly, for many of the defenders, what we saw on Monday at least. But that has been kind of the common strategy we've been seeing, is where we will have a lot of teams now just focusing on, you work that hatch from kitchen, and you take over the Memorial.
And that's it.
And then maybe blue. Maybe
yeah,
blue.
Glaz, we've seen Necrox as well.
I mean, it was a different strategy because EG was all about that. Yeah. They needed blue as part of it because it was the help for take on Church.
But not everybody needs.
But the other side, Space Station, didn't really go with that. They went with more of focusing on the hatch and would go with try to get for a hatch drop or even fight from the stairs. So 2 different ways to attack it. Both were extremely successful. So the attack strategy for Clubhouse has kind of been I'd say pretty well established, and that's been very effective because it works so many angles without needing to open up the kitchen floor, which is something that is different than we were used to. And teams now really struggle to stop Hibana from opening that kitchen hatch because, well, we've had more than enough time to practice how to deal with those impact nades coming up through those holes. We've even saw a situation on Monday where those impact holes, or the holes for the impact grenade, worked out against the people playing downstairs.
Because they could get
just
shot
worked
through
an angle. Yeah, absolutely. So it made it almost easier in a way for the attackers. So I feel like it's been interesting in terms of how things have shifted to really establishing what works and just focusing just on that for Clubhouse. Just eschewing dirt for the most part, focusing on just blue, memorial, and kitchen hatch. And then also, you know, working whatever other angles you can get from the stock hatch as well. You'll have someone sitting there.
It also depends on how defenders have set up their mirror window that is on the main wall of church. So
yeah,
there's the specific strategy that you're going to be playing with, but also how do you react to what the defenders have already set up. Some soft wall mirror windows work out fine if a lot of your opponents have been have not been focusing on soft destructors like Zofia, but she has become a much bigger part of the metagame. But enough of the strategizing, enough of theorizing how things go.
Well, hopefully not enough of the strategizing for these guys.
Let's see how they actually put things into practice, because you know what? That's exactly where it matters. So we head into our third map in this best of 3.
I was going to say, no surprise on the bomb site, but a surprise on the operator choice.
Lego.
You're going to be bringing out the cap can.
Cap can and no Mira.
And then you do see a buck. Oddly enough, they are just trying to really keep us on our toes here. Capcan is not a horrible choice for a first round.
No,
Capcan
is the best choice for
He's a better player now than he was, or operator than he was now that he's got a little bit better speed. He's got invisible trap.
Got impacts.
Yeah, the impacts is what I was going to say next. And then you've also got, so you've got 3 impact players here. To use that term, you've got AO, I imagine, on impact grenades, as well as it is very useful for Vigil. So you've got 3 people that can just open up as many rotate holes as they need. That is going to actually potentially, if they're smart about it, again, make it hard for them to try and use Hibana to open up the kitchen hatch, because they could even double impact if they want to make sure that even perhaps the corners don't work as well. Hard to say, though. The Capcan trap's probably not going to do a lot in terms of actual damage, but they are definitely going to slow people down here. And there's no IQ to be able to spot those early. They're definitely going to rely on drones to catch those. As we had seen a lot of IQ play on this site, or on this map from Monday from North America, and just not seeing that here from Team 1. They're just going to go buck and
There you go. They spot out the Capcan trap that was set up because they were expecting the push.
Round done.
But
that's all you need.
There we go. This call is done. It's over.
Let's all go home. So that is one, though. I mean, if they didn't already know Capcan's there, they definitely know now after shooting one of his traps. And they're feeling a little more cautious. See, they're checking the door frames now, which is a good idea. It's paid off for them.
It buys a bit of time, but then again, that's where you start to question the pick of the Capcan, because obviously you're going to drone in anyways. You're not going to run in blind, and you're going to spot all those Capcan traps. Maybe you'll get one pick off of them, or maybe you're looking to slow down your opponents, but otherwise, you're not going to really be doing much. Even though the 9x19 has no recoil and does a decent chunk of damage, it's still not the most optimal position to be. I like this shield.
There we go. Really slow him down here. Not sure how much that's going to pinch him, but if that's going to force Blitz to vault,
and he can't fall back, that's another problem.
Unfortunately for him, they can't put a Capcan trap on the other side of that. That would be nice. But Mega already with a quick kill on the Buck. Might have just been getting too greedy in the kitchen, as it looks like that's where he died. But Lion's at least going to find this Legion, who's going to do a little dance just to make sure that it's worth his while, as it's not going to lead to a kill.
It's just telling them, come on in, I'm ready for you.
I like
that, though, I do not know what happened there. Mega peeks in on the Vigil. Unfortunately, could not get the kill on Panico, who...
He thought, I was invisible to drones. They don't know I'm here. I will give him a surprise visit. They didn't catch me on the line. It wasn't the worst play, but he almost should have just pre-fired it, just to make sure that, hey, if I'm going to try this, he's either going to be crouched, prone, or standing right there. Probably not standing, so just go for, crouched head height at least and pre-fire it.
All right, here we go. Quick purifier as well from the Capcan, as Panico has to step into the Legion trap, and that's where Midi strikes and gets the kill. That's all that he needed. Huxor taking quite a bit of damage here, and he will step into the trap. He's taking so much damage from the goo mine.
Elysian's going to kill him at this point. Oh, there we go.
God, the life of Elysian main with the assist here, but at least that'll be a kill for Jason to turn it into a 3v1, and this should be an easier cleanup on Hugzord as he flashes, but it doesn't matter. He's already down.
The flash finish.
No flash finish. A very flashy plays, that's for sure. But Midi will take down the Fuser at the end, and that'll be the first round for our defenders with the help of the Capcan. And honestly, the Vigil pick early on in the Buck limited a lot of the points where we could have seen the attacker speaking through, but also not using that kitchen hatch as much as we've been seeing in general.
Yeah, Legion doing a good job that round as well in terms of we saw a couple kills that were somewhat related to that in a way. The kill on the push down in the tunnel, somewhat due to the Capcan trap going off that let Capcan knew exactly where he was at if he didn't already from the pre-firing. So he came around the corner and just, all right, I know exactly where he's at because he just stepped on that Legion mine. And he's at a spot where he can either go back or forwards, but he's still going to be, because it's a thin tunnel right there, right? So he's not going to be, you can't sprint while you have that goo mine in, right? So there's three options there. He can either move forward slowly and try and get around the corner, which is not going to be possible before he beats him. He's going to try and walk backwards, in which case he's still going to basically be in the same position and the pre-fire will work. And the third option is he's going to be standing there pulling the mine out of his foot, which is unlikely, but either way. Again, Capcan had a huge advantage right there. And it's one of those things that you don't think about necessarily, but a good placement of Elysian Mine leaves you with an opportunity like that because of how it disables the attacker for that brief moment that you have the information and the capability to get that kill. And Capcan capitalized on that. And then Blitz as well, losing a lot of effectiveness. There we go. They're off.
Both teams are using the, okay.
Is that the new thing to do? I mean, it worked in terms of, like,
definitely works.
Give up on the tunnel. So I guess it worked in that sense. But it looks like he would, I mean, it looked like he went back potentially or dropped. But somehow he ended up in the arsenal.
No,
later.
he did fall back, but he had the thermite behind him. But that's it. Like, now they have to be droning in and realizing, oh, we can't actually push through there, because if they use a thermite charge here, then that's it. That's one of the two hard destructions that they have.
Well, in this case, it's one of the only, because they didn't bring a Habana this time. Instead, they're bringing Ying and a Thatcher, so they are going to get stuff open with Thermite, though. Kitchen hatch to start, as that's the most important one, as we were talking about. But that means now they've got to choose. Do we get Memorial, or do we get the blue hatch, the stock hatch?
They definitely can't be peeking through that mirror window with so many soft walls on the side. And, well, they already used their second charge to push through
now
here.
We know no more hatches, so...
Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to work out too well for them.
This does favor the defenders, as Habanos, with one of the things that shifted this particular map over to the attackers big time because of that, specifically because those hatches being open really puts a lot of pressure on positioning.
That's a reinforced wall that we talked about on a previous broadcast, where it's a lot more difficult to catch any of the defenders on the rotation.
Ooh, that smoke, though, fortunately mistimed.
And they will burn out a lot of time, which is very important, but they're still unsure of how to go through this, because they have to go through the shield, and Blacks will get the kill on Mega.
They are definitely getting stalled out, not to mention losing an attacker, and a minute left.
Losing the Ying, that's the important part. They need this for the rush.
Oh, there's
they even Bandit battery.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Bandit's dead now, but his legacy lives on and slowing Blitz down, who did manage to get in, but now he's so low on health from everything. This is unfortunate, as he's going to be forced to pull that goo mine out and stall things out yet again. This tunnel is very slow.
Yeah, smoke will get thrown in here into blue as the Legion trap is just thrown in. 1 kill to 1. And there's one more for the Jaeger. 3v2 is the line, and Thatcher is still alive, and the Mira comes in to land 1 headshot. Jer's the last man alive. I have a quick spray through into the back of the armory. Not going to really do any damages. Defender's just not going to peek anybody. 20 seconds on the clock. The Fuser is on the floor, and Jer might just be forced to run on in and die, as that's exactly what's going to happen. Jaeger will just find the angle, and Ion taking down the last player of Red Canids. That deployable shield.
Now you may be asking yourself, we saw so many attack rounds in a row Monday, why are we seeing defense rounds in a row? Because these attack strategies are just not great. they're setting themselves up in situations where they're handicapping themselves without Hibana, for example. They're losing the Ying early. They're pushing a blitz down a tunnel that's already been countered, essentially, without a backup plan. Instead of just saying, you know what, both teams are, if they continue to bring blitz in the situation, they're going to have to do something. Heck, you bring a Zofia at that point to clear barbed wire and clear
either that or try to play through Memorial if you're going to play
which
with the blitz.
was so effective for NA. But they are going to at least bring in a Glass, so something a little bit different. But again, no Hibana. So we had Defender wins, but that means we're going to go to Bar. So this is going to be a little bit different, so I'll give them that. They don't need Hibana on this particular bomb site. But I just wonder if they're going to switch it up. They are going to go for a Glass, which generally speaks to stock take for from the Canids.
And you would think they would have a shield to combo with that.
It's not always necessary. Now with Ying, the whole smoke and clear out thing works pretty effectively as well. You don't necessarily need a shield. And it can be hard sometimes to juggle that Montagne when you have a Glass behind to not accidentally shoot Montagne when you're trying to clear. So it's not the worst because those smokes and Canids coming out are going to work in combination with Glass, as we all know, from the Ying Glass meta, as we like to call it. So I don't think it's a terrible idea. It could be used from the strip side, as they do have a Thermite. However, that is less likely and more likely to see the Thermite blow up in the garage wall to be able to pressure across there. So we'll see. To be able to, you know, take control of this lounge that you see Midi in right now, for example, who's going to be setting up some cameras here on the corner. Typical thing you see a lot of Valkyrie players do is they'll use the Deagle to open up corners like that so they can watch 2 rooms at once, which is a great use of the destructiveness of this game as well as the Deagle itself.
Especially the 4-meter walls where you can reinforce and still have
this map has a lot of those. It has a couple of those upstairs as well, both the ones for the bedroom and the gym kind of area.
And there aren't too many maps that allow you to do this. So I'm curious if we'll have more of this with new revamp.
That's right, the revamp. Yeah, it's a good question if that'll actually be changed or not. Well, we'll have to see on that.
That'll be very interesting to see because it does allow the defenders to play around with
a lot of
utility
as well, though.
Yes, to lob in grenades over it, maybe forcing a Jaeger as well to
There's a lot of angles you can work from. That's why you don't see a bedroom. It's part of the reason. But they are trying to push into strip club side with the Ying, which makes me wonder why they're not pressuring from the stock side where they had a better advantage. Not to mention all the defenders are in the strip club side, so this is where you kind of see that and you rotate and you're going to be a lot more effective. But maybe this is a bait. You know, they're just going to be like, oh, we're going to attack this side, guys. Oh, just quick rotate around.
That might just be what they're doing, but the kill will come in from the Glass. It'll land on Jaeger. C4 will get thrown in. Can't really do much there. The Thermite even grabbing the kill. He'll be able to pick up his fallen teammate here, Hugzord. So they'll have the Ying back up again with 50% HP. And they can definitely use the Candelas to their advantage. Mitty is the last man alive on Strip Club. Well, he has fallen back into the pool table. And Jerry is so low on HP just because of the sprays that have been happening from the Lion, but a quick peek from Jason's getting information. 4v3, but the Valkyrie will go down. Jason's on the rotation into Bar, will get shot as well by the Thermite, who's just going ham. And Blacks is looking for one more. He can frag with whatever operator you give him.
At least he's got 3 smokes left. This is the only saving grace right now.
It was so little time.
Nope, didn't matter.
On the clock. Oh, he will get the kill on one of them. Finishing off.
Oh, boy.
Just GEN here on the Thatcher.
Wow.
Second smoke will get used right next to Hugzord, so he's got to peek above the bar. Will get shot down by the SMG-11. Can he 1v1
There's a Glass
the
left.
Glass?
Yeah, good luck. You're going to have to really hope for good timing on that.
He's going to have to run through. There's one waiting outside the big window here on the pool table. Sprays in, can't get the shot. Not just yet. Yeah, there we go. He's trying to delay things so much. And Blacks toying with his food.
That was great, though. The peeking back and forth was forcing him to peek wider and wider and wider. He was practically standing on the pool table at that point.
Yeah, there was no time anyways, and forced him to contest. And
well, you saw the way he was peeking shorter, shallower and shallower each time. It was...
All he needs was just a tiny pixel of information to know what the pushes happen.
It didn't matter too much. It was already a...
it was pretty fun.
Nearly a done deal for that smoke. I mean, obviously there are some great clutch plays that happen, and he did get 1 kill with the smoke, not to mention following it up, but tough spot to be in. Again, Capcan, though, bringing his 2nd time. Interesting choice. That's a rare one right there.
Yeah, not twice. You'll see Capcom pick once maybe, but here on Bar, this actually helps with...
to be fair, he at least got a kill with his gun.
Actually, very true. But then again, it's a 9x9.
But that was due to Legion as well, really. Let's be honest. Due to the whole explanation I gave on that.
It's definitely a combo. But I'm curious to see where they set up his entrance denial devices, because what are they going to use it for? Is it going to be used mostly to
Same as last
deny
time.
any roaming? Or deny any counter roam?
Yeah, I mean, he is at least barricading some doors and making them question these. He's going to make them think they're on those doors potentially as well. I mean, he's just putting them all kind of the same height, not really trying to surprise too much, just trying to get his job done quickly. But he's got like 5 to set up. That's a lot of work during prep phase. Because you've got to do your 2 reinforcements as well.
It's a good thing he's a 2-speed nowadays.
He did change up one thing. He's got C4 instead impacts this time, which is a smart choice if they didn't need the rotations on this map because he's not playing an actual big roam. I mean, they're not defending downstairs this time, so he is defending a different site. And C4s are a lot more effective on this defense, regardless of which bomb site they attack, because if they attack the pool side, you chuck them over that, which, talking about those walls that don't go all the way up, there's a grenade going over, just like you were mentioning earlier. Unfortunately for them, doesn't really do a lot on the attack just yet, but that is going to start kind of the precursor to opening the wall, and now they can start to play freely. The line's going to be able to do some work as well, because if he pops that and they start pushing in, no one's going to be able to move, and they know one's in there. So there's the line coming out. Yep.
There's waiting through. We'll spray through the
Capcan.
barrage entry here. We'll take down the Capcan, who still had 1 entry denial device to be to play around with.
4's still good.
Definitely true. With the 60 damage, Panico setting up.
Interesting.
With
up some angles.
Yeah, these are a couple of very good angles, but they will be spotted by the thermite on the drone.
Yep. And that's I'm surprised that it's not Buck taking the top 4. That's usually what you see. But maybe he'll rotate around after he's done pressuring this side, helping out his team, because they left the wall soft on pool table, which is, I want to say an interesting choice, but it's more just a straight up bad choice, unless you're really using this party strategy.
Yeah, they were setting up a lot more of a take on Strip Club if you're at the defense here, so they decided to sacrifice a lot of their setup to reinforce Strip Club as much as possible. Unfortunately, that backfires into plays here, so it ends up working very well for Canids, who are bringing the Buck, which is perfect, exactly what you would like to have.
Well, because Buck's already good on attacking the top floor anyways, and he's going to be the counter to Legion here.
Oh, here we go! That's the Echo. That's the power of the MP5.
Echo ACOG.
Echo ACOG gets the kill on Mega.
As we said before, ACOG can be very powerful on this bomb site, and you see why right now, because he's able to play such a long angle.
And the Twitch not playing the ACOG, that's why Mega going down. It is a sin in the books of Twitch players, that's for sure. We'll get flashed, and the E1D will pick out 1, and that's a quick rush, taking down 2. That's the Bandit and the Smoke. Out of play, the Lion just doing the damage, and now spraying in. They'll take down 1. Done by GDN, and Panico rushes in. Unfortunately, he's unable to get the kills through it.
Nice try, though.
Just 1 player from behind. Midi will get 1 kill. Panico will refract. Jason's out of play, but Midi yet again ending up destroying his opponents here. Even with the Echo doing so well with the MP5, just nailing the shots. And just the Vector 308 might not have, you know, the worst recoil in the game. It's definitely very controllable.
Unfortunately, Echo was not using his yokai. He might have lost it earlier. I didn't see for sure, but he wasn't being effective at stopping the plant. And at that point, he could have just gone downstairs.
Yes.
No one was going to take the time to clear him out at that point. He could have dropped. They could have opened up the hatch and bar and just said, you know what? Peace out. I'm going to go just get on my yokai drone and I'm going to hang out down in Arsenal or Church or wherever.
Because if he did deny that the fuse plant, then he could have gone. Yeah, he could have given a ton of information to the Legion. We wouldn't have seen the loss on the Legion.
Well, the Legion could have been, yeah, exactly. He could have given the information to Legion, who could have been still upstairs working the angles that he'd set up with his impacts or not with his impacts, because he could have called out exactly where the plant is going down, had someone actually kill the planter, and then essentially the Echo becomes lethal. So hindsight 2020, of course, as we like to say, but it is definitely a case where bringing Echo for just the gun, not super effective.
No.
Well, Blitz coming out again. Are we going to see a repeat of the previous failed attacks? Now that we're back downstairs, we've seen Bar have its time to shine for a moment, so we are going to be forced back down to the failed attacks. Yes, so if we continue to see that trend, of course, we're going to see a lot more Bar than we usually do. So there is that plus. But
like we need more Bar time in our lives, that's for sure.
Yeah, I like that most maps have a Bar in this game, just in case.
Definitely is a telltale sign of a thing or two, but Team 1 are just droning in. They're trying to find sort of a safer entryway as they set up their drone here. The Claymore will follow suit in just a bit. GDN moving in with Thermite. Still setting up fairly late from the defenders as we hit the 2-minute and 17-second mark.
Now they brought up mute, and I wonder if they've positioned that in the dirt tunnel entrance as well to be able to deny Thermite. It only delays a few seconds or so where they try and find the angle, but it is kind of fun to use that extra jammer to slow him down and make it a little more of a pain to get in. As well as he could try and use it in that area to deny himself being droned, but it's kind of hard to cut off drones in that particular position that can jump it.
And while Team 1 bringing both hard destructors will definitely be a big help with this push, but so far we haven't seen that kitchen hatch really abused.
We also haven't seen the Buck abused because he got killed last time he tried this.
Well, Thermite charge will get set up on.
There is a mute jammer in dirt, you can see, but yeah, not stopping that Thermite.
And that'll at least force the Legion out of position. Bar hatch will get open. Kitchen hatch should have already followed suit. It's your normal checklist as a Hibana, really hard destructor in general. Nice drones will be coming into Memorial. They haven't spotted out the Mira just yet, but Hugzord will still try to at least push. Now, I like having the Blitz pushing solo in there.
Yeah.
Because you can dedicate more manpower to the rest.
Well, he really needs to time it to be either standing in the doorway and just distracting them for a minute, or to be pressuring with him. Buck going with him, unless it's for the grenades, is kind of a waste of a lot of Buck's utility. But we are at least getting some idea. Is he going to dance for us again? No, not this time. He's just going to hang out. He has already lost a little bit of health, so maybe not feeling as cocky. But smokes are going to at least delay that blitz you were just talking about, so they are really spending a lot of time. And that, again, that's Buck being wasted right now, as it's just Blitz just slowly crawling down, not taking advantage of his new speed powers.
Blacks will try to spray through here. Not going to find anything in the main hallway. Again, kitchen hatch a bit underutilized if you ask me, though. AO will get a spray and take down Hugzord. And that is the Blitz not working out at all. Now they're trying to pinch things out with the help of the Lion. They'll get 2 kills in a row. Zayo and Jera will go down. Midi will go down as well. Jason and Mega, the last 2 alive with so little time remaining. And Team 1 just rush in and take everybody down. The Buck was not contested. They thought that
it was just Blitz, I guess.
It was just Blitz, but no, there was the Buck behind, and he chucked in the frag grenade. And with the Lion popping the E1D and looking to the side of the mirror window, well, it was perfectly timed.
That's
try to get a spray off.
A fun combo, right? You throw the grenade and go ahead and move. Go ahead and move away from that grenade. It's fine. Just go ahead. You're gonna turn red for a second, and I'm gonna shoot you.
I dare you.
Yeah, I dare.
That's the counter to
I double
just
dog
stand
dare you.
still.
Right? Yeah, it's throw a grenade right there, and that's why Jaeger is so mandatory at the moment. So either way, first attack round downstairs we've seen actually work was not due to the Blitz. It was actually due to the Buck who was behind him, despite all that smack talk I was making about Buck. He was a lot more useful than that Blitz, that's for sure, in that particular thing. But that was also due to a good grenade combined with the Lion, as you said. That was good timing between the two of them, good coordination, whether it was intentional or not. It worked out. But we are going to see another Blitz try here, which has been oh so ineffective. I'm not sure if we saw a deployable shield in that tunnel, and that might have been part of the reason we saw the Buck brought, is he might have used one of those grenades to help clear that out along with Wire. But as we were saying earlier, you might as well just bring a Zofia at that point and get a lot more utility out of that, because you're going to have someone that could potentially even shoot all the way from the doorway over to the wall that faces into blue and help clear someone out behind Generator. So you're going to get a lot more utility out of it than you would out of Buck right there, because he's not going to be getting out of the Skeleton Key.
Yeah, you're not using the Skeleton Key to anything.
Yeah, you might as well just bring Sledge even then, because he can do the same kind of work for the most part. And he can, I mean, I think he could sledge a deployable shield. Can't recall, Court.
Bounces off.
Unfortunate. Well, it's been a while since I've tried something, because no one uses deployable shields anymore.
Oh well, Mega just setting up outside with the Ying here, as trying to look through into the kitchen. Has not found anybody just yet, as Io will peek in from the kitchens.
Looks like he's going to go a different repetition. Nope, just going to say open up the kitchen for you. And
what are you expecting there, Devin? Different plays?
Yeah, right? Well, at least the last attack worked, so I feel good about that. Not going to see complete failure again. And they are working some angles here, using that hole in the wall. You know what you were talking about before, angles with the wall itself being used to try and fight rotations. Fortunately for him, no one rotating just yet, but surprisingly this is not the Hibana working angle, as they don't have one. Instead it's going to be the Ying. That means generally setting up for a Ying drop, but as Ying rotates out, hard to say if they're going to continue to commit to that.
It is the reason, though. Because you see Ying being so aggressive, you won't see many players running an ACOG on her, usually it'll be the hollow because
Yeah, because you can fight at close range.
Yes.
Because you can still see, unlike everyone else.
Exactly. So that's, you know, it begs the question, you know, how well will this fare for the aggressive Ying?
It is a decent combo, and if you have the Blitz and the Ying pushing at the same time, one dropping, the other one pushing from the tunnel, then everyone can make sure, you can make sure they're all blind as long as possible, or at least in a position where they're distracted. But you almost need to have the Blitz first, so they're concerned about him as the smokes are coming out, so they're not sure which way to look, and they have to kind of find cover positions as the Candles come out, and that gives enough time for the plant to work, and then combine that with a Lion like we're seeing right now to kind of help a little bit while he pushes up. Things are starting to fall into place with a minute left.
Yep. IO just needs to stand here in place and force people to basically
watch your right hand. I like how he's keeping his right hand covered. That's the important thing. He does, looks like, did you have someone behind him there?
Yes, yes he did. And Smoke is going to get thrown to the side. Oh. C4 lands a double kill. Two players going down here. Brummer Canids is team one, playing it perfectly. One more here as Mini goes to the floor. There's two left. Well, at least one of them. And that is a cleanup. Team one demolish Red Canids. Just read perfectly into their attack. You know what? Hey, you want to take control of that, you know, want to get that beachhead, to quote Kickstar? Yeah, you can have it, but we're ready for you in the back. And if you're not going to use that Ying correctly, then we're just going to shut you out.
Like many beachheads, they turn into a massacre. And unfortunately, that time it was yet again a defensive win. And now Team one lost the first map, but it was very close. Dominated the second map, and looking like they might do the same here. So between these three maps, Team one looking like the stronger team of the two, despite the loss of the first map by 1 point. So it is on Red to continue the trend of winning. They failed to win this last time. They're going to try it one more time. But that was the first time they had lost downstairs. So they can adjust. They could potentially make it work because some of that was down to timing, as we pointed out last time. And Team one are again bringing basically the same combo, which has been barely working. So hopefully they play it a little bit better, because we are just not seeing any effectiveness out of blitzes. Right? Like, have we seen a blitz get a single kill so far? Because I'm pretty sure we have not.
No, it really hasn't been able to do much. Sure, they smoke out anybody trying to.
I mean, even help get a kill.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, other than making them think Buck wasn't there.
This is probably a fault that we saw. For example, I'd like to compare this to ENCE, for example, when they forced to play Lion, because they're like, yeah, you have to play Lion or you lose, but then you don't play him correctly. At some point, you have to say, maybe we shouldn't be doing it.
You either accept it and you really lean into it, like a team like ONE does. I mean, they're already prepared to, but, or you just, you know, do like Beast Coast and just be like, nah, this game was winnable before. It's still winnable now. So, and just play to the strength, because if you think about it, the defenders were only nerfed. They weren't buffed at all in this, for the most part. So it's a situation where you should, in theory, just be able to win still without using Lion, or even if you're just using Finka. Like, just, you don't necessarily need, because Blitz and Glaz are still very strong as well. So, Blitz, however, not proving to be strong in this particular attack.
Definitely not. Maybe it's a sign to clean him up, and that's
the bedroom vigil roam, or the the office vigil roam.
Yeah, we've seen that be extremely strong in the past.
Can't imagine they're expecting it, but that is a good way to stop it early, is kill him.
Oh my god!
So that was not successful at all, unfortunately, as I just read right into that.
Easiest roam clear of his life.
You know what's funny, if you think about it, the Ion and AO are very close in name in terms of just anagrams almost of each other. Just swap the N for the A. Either way. What a pointless observation as we move into this potential attack coming here. Lion playing very careful again, as we saw him do previously. Playing this a lot smarter, no Capcan trying to peek him this time. So that is going to help. There is no Lesion to stop as well.
Hanako doesn't even need to get aggressive. All he needs to do is stay alive in the back and uses E1D once they try to go for a push. They'll try to pinch the defenders as they rotate away from bar. You see the Habana making
a bit of a slow run, unfortunately.
A lot slower here as Blacks has taken control of the main lobby. So for now, we're just waiting around until we get our clean feed up and ready, and then we can go back into this matchup, because maybe this will be the fun.
Yeah, there's a very good chance of that. I mean, they're not playing Legion as well, which I feel like has been, it's not a critical part of the defense, but it has been effective, especially with Blitz continuing to be brought out. It is something that is going to slow him down and weaken him. And a weakened Blitz is good because there's a much higher chance that a C4, even slightly misthrown, or an impact grenade could take him down. And you don't have to kill Blitz, just knock him down, right? You just get him down but not out, and that's all you need because these attacks are just going very, very quick once they're happening. You know, everyone's dying quickly, whether it be the attackers or the defenders. So just knocking a Blitz down is enough. Yep. Slowing him down with smoke, slowing him down with the goo mines. With
the shield that we saw, a bandit battery shield.
Yeah.
Everything to make sure that he cannot get aggressive.
Yeah, swapping out the Legion for the Vigil just did not play.
Well, let's go back into game as now it's red Canids that are on the defense. They're trying to shut down this push coming in from the outside. Lion, though, will get the first kill on midi. Smoke should get thrown in that final canister at the 33rd second.
Nice,
nicely done.
Well, that's the Lion down. That's going to make this last Lion that much more important. Unfortunately, they start to push in now.
I can't really do much with him dead now. Can't pinch out from the side, but still have Ion trying to go in for the shotgun, and Jason's will get one. Try to bring down the second. That's the diffuser, though, will get planted. Jerry, last man alive with 3 left on the attackers of Team 1, and he's going to get pinched out. Ion going ham, and will land the headshot. Is here. It will be a victory for Team 1.
Well, I feel like Team 1 have shown they are the superior team today, not just in terms of this particular map. They played over 2 maps where they did very, very well, 5-1 and a 5-2, showing that when sometimes you know, people weren't able to adjust, they were able to do that. They were able to successfully attack the bomb site that for some reason couldn't seem to be attacked before. Did it twice in a row now with basically the same attackers. And I think it was a little bit of weaker defense that time, but Blitz was able to get it successfully. They played a little smarter, baited out smokes faster. But I also think the lack of a Legion there, as I was saying, really helped because it gave them extra time to bait out all 3 of those smokes, as you pointed out. Also getting the Lion kill as well helped out the defenders, but it was a little too late in that they'd already made enough push out of that to be effective. And Team 1, very strong.